What's going on, guys? Freak here from the channel Frost and Fist, and I know you're probably sitting here enjoying the Friday night live stream or maybe even the Saturday UK friendly live stream, but I just want to take a few seconds to talk about our merch. That's right, the Frost and Fist got some merch, guys. We got a lot of really cool things that we think you might enjoy, like for example this t-shirt that I'm wearing. You'll see the Wolf Brother wear it on occasion as well. Not only that, we even have coffee mugs. Come on, you don't think a nice cup of Joe tastes heavenly coming from this bad boy? I submit that it does not. We got a bunch of other things out there as well. You can get really nice t-shirts, tank tops. That's right, guys. You can go around flexing your hobby muscles in front of the ladies. Oh yeah, you can't go wrong that way. You can even get socks. You can even get that cool banner like the one we got like that one. That's right, that one. So we got a couple of things. Go check it out, guys. They're reasonably priced, and it will help us to continue this crazy cause. And thanks again for helping us out and giving us some support. Now, back to the show.
All right, what is up, beautiful people? Wolf Brother Mythos from the channel Frost and Fist, and welcome to this video. And Freak is still out sick, unfortunately, but I've got some amazing brothers of mine joining me in the hobby tonight. We all going to get our groove on, get our hobby on, and who knows, we might even groove tonight. So, but we can't get our freak on because there's no freak here. Okay, that's fair. That's fair, to be honest. All right, guys. So, I guess it would help if I like unmuted you. Jeez. All right, guys. So, here joining me first, we've got a representative from the Gamecraft Dragon. We've got the disgustingly resilient Big D himself.
What's up? What's up?
Coming in on the phalanx from high orbit with, of course, his band cannon. We've got the Commodore. He is still modding the chat, guys, so everybody watch it.
Multitasking.
Multitasking. And, of course, we've got the ultimate Wolf Lord, Meeks!
Good evening.
Good evening. Even an axe should have a beard contest. Well, I am definitely losing that one. I think the closest runners here are Meeks and Kami.
That'd be a close one too. I don't know who.
See his all man beard? His all man beard right here.
I guess my carnival roots don't help me then.
Of course, I've never seen Axe's beard, so I don't know.
I'm just saying, I mean, it looks like we got a room full of carnies here.
Or truck drivers.
There's only one bandhammer. That's correct, Archer, my man. Welcome, my brother. I know you had a late night working. Hopefully you're getting some relaxed time now. All right, guys. So you can see I do have my brothers here. I do not have the main brother himself, the Freakaliciousness. Guys, as you all know, our Freakaliciousness is still incarcerated, and only Patreons like you fine fellas here can help us raise enough funds for him to make bail. So you guys go over to our Patreon and help us get Freak out.
He's never going to be allowed back into that Whole Foods.
Whole Foods? I heard it was a McDonald's Playland.
Dude,
Oh, goodness.
never do that stuff with bananas. It's just not right. I mean, I know he likes yellow and all, but damn.
Oh, man.
What do you guys do on the phalanx? I'm just saying.
Oh, shit.
Shots
Well,
fired already.
This phalanx be a rockin', don't come a knockin'.
When she lets you take it out of the garage.
Oh, lordy.
Is Freak stuck at the breeding program, lad? there was a contamination breach. Okay, the breeding program accidentally spilled out into the main public, and that's why Freak couldn't be here with us tonight. In all seriousness, he's not working tonight. He is unfortunately super sick as a dog right now, and I mean, the man couldn't even get his. You ever have one of those sick days where you're like, man, I feel like ass, but at least I can get my game on while I'm at home. Man can't even play any games. Barely keep his head up. So man is sick as a dog.
That's why you get with those gamer chairs.
All right, guys. So we're doing a hobby hangout tonight. We are getting our hobby on. And what you guys working on tonight? What you got for a pork chop? And what have you done with the hobby week?
Well, I'll go first. I have been working on a bunch of commissions for building for friends and trying to build my own stuff and Lady D's stuff. I don't know. I haven't been in the mood to paint. Lady D thinks I'm burned out on painting because of what I did last year. So, but I have just been crazy on building. So I picked up late last year this for my Old Hammer army.
Nice.
If y'all not familiar with it, this thing is amazing. It's got a rhino, it's got a full tactical squad, it's got an assault squad, it's got a command squad. It's just, I mean, it's the original Battle Force box. So there's like 10 sprues of stuff in here.
It's old, like him.
Yeah, it's old like me, like the 3 Layman Russes I've built in the last week. What do you call it? The Bane Blade I started working on, but I'm missing 2 sprues from the box, so I had to go out to GW to get them replaced. I've just been building like crazy, just so. And for those of you that did the terrain Kickstarter that I was touting like about a year ago, finished building the.
That's super cool.
Yeah, this is such a cool looking tank. I'm going to be using it as a proxy for.
How easy to put together?
I don't like the tracks, but it was fairly easy to put together. The tracks were a little fiddly because they don't really have any.
So better or worse than current GW's tanks for IG?
GW tank treads are easier to put together because they have at least notches on where they slide in place. These you got to kind of eyeball and get them there in place. So, like I said, I don't like their tracks, but other than that, I mean, the detail in the model is amazing. I actually built this one in pieces because the inside and the interior is super detailed. Nice.
Would you say you're using it as a Russ? I'm going
to be using it as, because it's a cargo.
Oh, okay.
It's a cargo thing. I'm going to use it as a replacement for a Torox. Because I hate the Torox model just like everyone else does.
I'm one of the few that actually absolutely love the way the Torox looks. I actually want to do Scions just for Toroxes.
Oh, I like the look of the Torox except for the treads. If I do Toroxes, I want to rip off those treads and replace them with wheels.
That wheel and tread mixture is what I love about it.
Oh, well,
different strokes, right? Absolutely.
To each their own. So I'm going to be using these as replacement for my Toroxes for my Black Company, which is a entirely squat Imperial Guard army I'm building.
That's awesome.
Highly mobile, lots of guns. But yeah, I mean, I've just been in psycho build mode lately.
Yeah, I'm surprised too, but I have actually heard that from quite a few Astra Militarum fans. I love the way the Torox looks, but I have heard from actually several people. Not a lot of people like the way it looks, or at least, the squeaky wheels always gets the most attention. So at least I know that the people who don't like it I hear their opinion the most.
It's funny. I like the body. I love the body of the model. I love the way the rest of it looks.
Right, that armored car kind of look.
Yeah, I love that look. There's a number of really good kits out there to replace those treads with wheels and make it look like a current military MRAP, and that I really dig. But I'm just using them as Toroxes because I actually like the look of the Torox, and it's a slightly better vehicle than a Chimera. So.
I got you. Happy freaking Friday, XGear, my man. Good to see you.
Well, that's me talking too much.
No, I just wanted to say hello to people as they're up in the chat. It's all good.
No, I'm just saying. I just, like I said, I got a million things going on. I'm switching jobs starting next week. So it's all good. I mean, it's just.
That new one's a lot closer to home too, huh?
Yes, much closer to home. And it's a permanent position rather than being a contracting position.
Nice.
So it's all gravy, baby.
All gravy, baby. Awesome. Brother Meeks, what you working on tonight? What you got for a poke chat?
Eradicators.
Eradicators.
These things suck.
They do look like a complicated build. After seeing your frustration with them, I'll be approaching mine with apprehension. Although mine are going into my blue boys. I have too many armies, guys.
Well, it's just that the instructions, like literally they got 3 different builds within the same, pretty much the same box. And you're like going, if you're not paying attention to exactly what you're doing, I'm to the point now where I'm going to start marking out, don't do this one, just because it's just a pain in the ass.
Oof.
And it's not, I don't know, I don't think it's the greatest
Axeman,
instruction.
Have a great dinner, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, I don't think these are the greatest instructions that GW's ever come out with.
That sucks. I'm looking forward to those with great apprehension.
But they're a beautiful model. It's just
they look hardcore.
I think I'm just a retard.
Is that the multi-part kit?
Yes.
Eradicators? Yeah, okay.
The new ones.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a little weight off my shoulders because I've got the Indominus ones.
Those are easy. I mean, those are practically push fits, so those are super easy to build.
No, these are a little bit more. I think GW models, for the most part, are pretty much entry level to hobby building. These are a step above that.
I got you.
Where it's like you just can't mindlessly just put them together. So.
And I know this isn't the popular opinion, but I actually prefer the GW starter kit models to their standard one, their multi-pose ones. Because we all know building is not my thing, right? I hate building. So it's really no surprise. Although for me, it's just they go together easily. I'm never frustrated. Even I love the new Primaris range. I really do. But even the basic multi-pose intercessors were kind of a pain in my ass to put together. Yeah. And as opposed to the Dark Imperium ones or the ones from any of the box sets, because 3/4 of the box sets out there all come with intercessors. Those are awesome to put together. Same thing for the new heavy intercessors. Oh, that's going to be nice.
Well, I mean, okay, so just as a point in fact, okay, you know how all these hoses usually have a male and a female on each end, on the opposite end?
Yeah, I am aware that there can be male and female hose.
These don't. These are actually both female, or should we say the mid? Anyways, and the hoses don't connect right. But I'm looking at the instructions going, and they're like, yes, this is 21 goes in here, 22 goes in here, and it's like they're not fitting. So it's horrible.
It's tough when you can't connect to a hoe. Judge, my man, one of the best painters on the internet. Welcome to the chat, my man. Good to see you. about to be on the road, so Brother Archer's going to be quiet for a little bit, but he'll see us when he gets to the other side. We got a question for Big D. What's the new job? What's the new gig, baby?
I will be working for a service desk that supplies IT support for clinics and medical offices.
That is almost exactly what Freak does.
Except I will never go into the hospital or the clinic or anything like that. I will be 100% on a phone as far away from them as possible.
All the benefits, none of the downsides. That's nice.
Right.
That's awesome.
And that's one of the big reasons about it. I mean, honestly, when you've worked in IT for as long as I have, you want to get into a field. IT is volatile as heck. So you want to get into a field that is stable no matter what's going on. And that way you don't have to worry about, well, am I going to be downsized? And medicine, I mean, everybody gets sick and everybody dies. So there's always a need for medicine. So
always a need. That's why I got into stripping for Chippendales, because people are always going to need that.
Well, it's not
People are always going to be grossed out and want you to put your clothes back on.
No, Mythos, it's not that they need that. They need you. I mean, look at you, you sexy beast.
Commodore, my man, as our current son of Dorn tonight in the chat, we actually legally had to invite Commodore on, so that way we could still call ourselves the Frost and the Fists.
That's the only reason he's here.
Affirmative action, baby.
Commodore, my man, what you working on tonight?
I am not working on any Imperial Fists, so just call it the Frost Show, I guess.
The Frost Show.
I am actually working on some skinks for AOS that I'm working on. So doing some skinks, and then just earlier in the week I finished up some the Carnosaur, and then the skink chief riding Troglodon, I think it was called.
Man, if I'm going to be honest with you about your work, I think this project you're on right now just really skinks.
And that's the show. Hey.
Dun, 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 dun.
Actually, I really freaking love your Carnosaur. The Carnosaurs look awesome. Absolutely awesome. And you've done an awesome job with yours.
Thanks, man.
All right, so for myself, I've done a lot of hobby this week and got nowhere, really. So this is very rare because your Wolf Brother hates building. I just love painting. I love the paint side. I love the game side. I love the reading and the story side. Just the assembly that usually gets to me. Except this week, I've just been in the mood. So, using some Spellcrow bits, I put together 5. I'm just gonna, they're all primed shiny black, and so they're gonna be absolutely awful for showing on screen. But 5 Twin Claw Wolfguard veterans. They're all gonna have jump packs and jumping around, clawing stuff up. One squad of 5 veterans gets 26 attacks on the charge, hitting on 2s, re-rolling all wounds.
Yeah, baby.
It's funny because I have so much Primaris to build up, and I'm like, give me some of these. Give me some of these veterans that have been sitting in my bits box forever. So
now that you said that, they're jinxed, and they will get shot off the table before they can get into any close combat.
I mean, for me, that's the rule of a newly painted model, anyways. So, anytime I'm excited to play something because I just painted it, it's almost always the first unit gone. So I did 5 of those. I did 5 of these Forge World Ebon Keshig models, which are like samurai-looking Tartaros Terminators. The Ebon Keshig were the elite bodyguards and elite special forces that reported straight to the Kargan, the Primarch Jagatai Khan, and they were the only White Scars to wear black armor to denote their status. So I have 5 of the Forge World models that I will be equipping with this cool special shield I found, and using them to represent my Blade Guard veterans. Because the Tartaros Terminators are kind of tall for regular non-Primaris Space Marines anyways. They kind of have the build and stature, and I love the kind of samurai flavor that they have to them. So they're going to be my stand-ins for Blade Guard veterans for my White Scars. Also, to go with my Ebon Keshig idea, I decided I love the look of Tartaros Terminators so much, I took my 5 regular Tartaros Terminators and built them up from Burning of Prospero, and built them up with twin lightning claws. And I did not elevate these on like quirk bases or anything. They will be Relic Terminators. And as Relic Terminators, they're going to get some cool stuff like this Reaper Cannon. It's still going to have 1 set of claws, but the Reaper Cannon on the other. Freaking auto cannon running around on my Terminators. You know, auto cannon, strength 7, 2 damage a pop. It's going to be cool. And then a cool mix for my Sergeant here. I've got a Chain Fist and something called a Plasma Blaster, which is Assault 2 Plasma. So that's going to be cool. So, got some cool stuff going on there. And I finally got around to priming my brother Richard over at the Nerd Life. I plug him all the time on my channel. He does almost all my commission builds for stuff I don't want to deal with myself. Mostly Forge World stuff, sometimes other resin projects, or sometimes even a plastic kit I just don't feel like dealing with. And I asked him to put together my Centurions for me, and he said, hey, what if I took some spare Intercessors I got and made them kind of Primaris Centurions? And so he kind of converted these up, and I primed them. And so those would be kind of cool. And so I've done the Tartaros Terminators, the Centurions, and the Ebon Keshig all in the black. They'll all be in that part of my elite Ebon Keshig part for my White Scar. So lots of black priming. Of course, I did prime up my Gear Guts miniatures, so the Tank Busters here with their little rocket launchers, and of course my Ludas from Gear Guts. I'm sorry, my Scrap Gunners, which I will be using as Ludas. I really like their model more than the GW model for both the Tank Hunters and the Ludas. So got those
Gear Guts does some good figs. I really like Gear Guts stuff.
I agree, man. They do some absolutely fantastic work. And like I said, I've done one of those weeks where I've just kind of really stretched myself thin. Here I've taken, I can't remember his, Kenja, 30k Tartaros Terminator, who's supposed to be the master of the Keshig. He's a dual-wielding, twin power sword, samurai-themed Terminator. And he is going to be my Blade Guard captain for them. And I always do, in most of my armies, a representation of myself in my armies. So, like, I've got my Wolf Lord Mythos. This will be Arun Khan, which, you know, I do I started my scars as a tribute to my Asian heritage. And I asked my mom, if she were to name me in Thai, if I weren't born in America, if she named me, you know, from her country, what would she have named me? And she actually said she'd been considering the name Arun with her mom. But, you know, when she talked to my dad about it, they insisted I have an American name, which I really wish. And Arun means dawn in Thai. So this will be Arun Khan, you know, the captain of the dawn. So that'll be cool. So I got that started. I started on my Primaris Corsaro Con. And you can see here, so I don't know why, instead of actually focusing on any one thing, I just applied myself like 5% to everything. So I've started my my Corsaro Con here. And even though his thing is supposed to be a Cyberhawk on the box art and whatnot, I painted him up as a American Eagle.
American.
America.
Here's the thing, Mythos. You talk about that. Why you flitting around like that? Sometimes you got to do that, man. and this is coming from the guy that laser focuses like box, build, paint, done on the shelf. Box, build, paint, done on the shelf. I mean, that's my MO. There are times when you just need to flit, and that it keeps you from getting stale,
Mm-hmm.
and it recharges your batteries a lot. I mean, yeah, when you don't get anything done, you look at it and go, oh my God, I got all this stuff. But getting there will recharge your batteries a bit, and it'll also give you a little kick in the butt sometimes too.
I agree. It's a nice little reset. I did some work on my Invictor Tactical War Suit this week. The last thing for my white scars. I've got these pieces starting to come together. Just the black and white stages for now, just blocking in the colors, but it's a start.
Looks like a towel piece.
No. And then, because I just can't stay away from orcs, I also have been chipping away at my War Boss on bike. This thing has been a pain in my ass. The power claw for the War Boss on bike, it's like a perfect razor disc, right? And all my power claws in my army so far have been my nice, vibrant, orangey power claw effect. Well, I tried that with this circular disc version of the power claw, and I've come to decide that I really suck at trying to do power effects on a perfectly round surface. Because, like, I tried one version where, like, in a lot of comic books and stuff like that, if they've got something spinning, they do a shine effect where, you know, they'll hourglass it, right? So, like, an X shape looks like one color, like the orange of the fire, and the sides of the X will be like the red, right? And I tried replicating that, looking at a comic book picture. It didn't look right on the disc, at least not the way I did it. So I tried doing the classic starting in the middle and getting hotter at the edges. That didn't look right. So then I tried glossing it. You know, this is definitely one of those fail forward projects because I spent a full night failing and starting over on this project. So I leaned into the crazy way it came out when I tried doing the outside in and went for random swirls of color. Just kind of wet blending around like I did on the lava bases for my salamanders. Glossed it over and then put Morden Earth, which is a black crackle paint, over it and hoping that it would crackle and leave the fiery colors underneath coming up and glowing through like I do on my lava bases. It didn't work. I think it's because there are so many jagged textures on the claw here. It's like, because it's scraps of metal. It's not just like a smooth buzzsaw. It's like got pieces of junk metal plastered all about it. And so I don't think there was enough flat surface for the texture paint to really shrink and make those crackles. So it just ended up looking like I just painted badly black over a bunch of other colors, which is essentially what happened.
Why don't you try that Artist Opus moist dry brushing with a little bit of stippling and actual brushing, and you can go multiple colors on that, and it may give you a different effect that you might like.
Okay, I'll try that next. I've decided if I've got like 2 or 3 more tricks I want to try. Plus, Freak said when he's feeling better, he's also going to 3D print a similar buzzsaw and, you know, see what he can do, and if he can, you know, give me any pointers. And I figure if none of those end up working, what I'll end up doing is probably just painting it metallic and, you know, just weathering that up. But so far, that's been a full night of kind of struggling with that. I did lay down some other colors, though. I kind of like this with the black t-shirt and armor and the white skull on his chest. I feel like he's got a Punisher vibe. So I did that. And then I put down some, just blocking in some colors on the bike itself. Kind of a start.
The other thing I could suggest, since you're doing it, you start in the middle with the dark and you're working your way out,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not coming out for you. If you've got your disc, And again, this is kind of a comic book technique. I saw somebody do this on a round disc, and it looked really nice. Think like the letter Z. So you would do dark red like a letter Z, sweeping across back to the middle. Then go opposite it, do the letter Z on that side. Then, do it in the four corners, doing these letter Z's with the curve. So they curve with so like the outside edge is like that, then it curves in,
Okay.
then it curves back. So you do that with your red. And then in between those, you do your orange. And then in between your orange and the red, you do a little bit of a light yellow of that same kind of a Z shape. And kind of wet blend the whole thing. But don't fully connect it so some of the black shines through.
Okay. That sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah. There's I've seen a number of like X-Men when they've got something like an X-Men comic when they've got something spinning.
Mm-hmm.
If they grab something, they're spinning it. They do this like Z effect around the artist will draw like a Z effect, and it makes it look like it's got colors on it, but it's spinning, and the Z is like the trace of the color as your eye tries to focus on it.
I got you. It's like creating motion in a two-dimensional piece.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Or in a still piece, rather.
Yeah.
G says, that's me. I got all this stuff. Yep, G's got my kind of focus. Dave, evening modelers and hobbyists. Good to see you, Dave.
Oh, I could also show you the other project.
Oh, absolutely. Ooh, the not a War Hound.
So he's getting his medal on right now.
That's awesome.
I found a really beautiful dark oily gunmetal spray that just looks beautiful on him. And
that's cool.
Yeah, he's all done being printed. It's just a matter of me sitting down and finish painting and assembling the whole thing.
Talking about that kind of nonsense, I still have to get mine going.
What sort of problems do you have in there?
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a technological 2-year-old. I buy it, set it up, and don't know what the hell I'm doing.
That's the biggest thing that scares me about getting into 3D printing is I'm well known for my use of computers, and it's not a good vibe.
I literally have 5 bottles of resin sitting on the floor going, yeah. I have 5 bottles of resin. I got my Frozone. I got the light booth, the whole 9 yards. And I just haven't had time to actually, and I'm like, what do I do with this? It's the USB thing you plug in your computer.
I can tell you, it's not difficult. It's really, people make a lot more out of it. If you're trying to make your own models and sculpt your own models and that kind of stuff, they can get complicated. But if you're just trying to print stuff, it's not that difficult. And it has nothing to do with technology. It's just, I mean, Commodore's doing it. It's fine. I mean, it's not that big a deal.
Now, come on, let's be sure. Is Commodore doing it? Or is it his lady doing it?
No. Commodore's,
she lets him do it?
I have been.
Could I be insulted?
Am I being insulted?
No. I'm just saying. In all seriousness, and when I say Commodore did it, I mean he was like, I watched a couple videos, and I read the instructions, and I printed stuff, and that was it. It's not difficult. If you're not trying to do super detailed, complicated, ridiculous BS that you designed, it's pretty much glug glug, point, beep. I have a miniature. It's really not that complicated.
See, that's what I'm looking for. I want to do something like that. But to be truthful, the only reason why I bought it is because I saw that War Hound Titan. And I'm like, I want one, and this is cheaper than going to GW and buying.
Let me tell you. I'm gonna tell you, having the printer, the Titan was a matter of printing it because it was fun. I have used it to print models that are out of print. Right. I have printed stuff for other people, printing busts, printing artwork, printing test pieces, printing bits for terrain. It's really freaking useful.
You were talking about how you might use it to help Lady Dragon earlier today. That got awkward.
I thought the resin was toxic. I thought you weren't supposed to put them in places like that.
No. So
I'm gonna tell you, there's ways around everything. I would never do that. There's
and they print things that small.
Look, you know, I'm just, you know, look here, old man.
Oh man.
Shouldn't you say slightly older man?
Actually, that's the worst thing, Kami. I don't think it is.
I'll be 51 next month, so.
Like I said.
So twins.
But I'm you know, I tell my 38-year-old girlfriend that, you know, I'm like a fine wine. I just get better with age.
There you go.
And I tell my 38-year-old wife, I'm your man. Deal with it.
You got nothing. You go ahead and leave. You'll miss me.
You're gonna do better, but really, are you?
Anyway, so Dave
as
points
we change the subject.
So now you people who don't come to the after show understand what the after show is like.
I mean, it's not wrong.
It's a lot of wiener jokes.
Dave
This is why you need to get on the Patreon so you get invited to the after.
Right. All the wiener jokes you can handle for just a small amount of Patreon dough. Let's get freak out of jail.
Hashtag free the freak.
Release the freak.
All right, so Dave has a good point. Another part that can be complex with 3D printing is checking your STLs before you go to print. Make sure there are no supports that aren't leading anywhere. Random drop-off supports. Some people call them islands. Making sure your process is supported enough can be one of the most complex parts. If something's not supported right, then it can fall on you. It can.
Right, and I get that, but I'm leaning on my peeps who do this to help me get it together. It's just as a over-the-road truck driver, I have a very limited amount of time
Absolutely.
to do anything. So,
in that sense, they're a little bit harder to find, but there are STL files out there that are pre-supported. So you can just basically get it. It's already supported. It's just a click and print at that point. Now, not all of them you get will be supported like that. But even when I was doing some of my early prints and I was supporting stuff, I was kind of, you make some mistakes. Like you always want to make sure your supports, you can't necessarily go too support heavy. You can, but more supports isn't necessarily going to be a bad thing, at least when you first start printing.
Right.
The big thing is when you print, don't directly put your model on your printing base. Like you're always going to if my hand is your printing plate, you never go directly on it or straight vertically up. You always want to go at least angle your print out. One of our
that makes no sense to me. Right on, hey.
Here's an easy way to look at it. You pick up a model that's built. Just look at a model that's built. Okay. And now pretend he's in a Barco lounger.
Right.
Okay.
So instead of like it being flat on your printing surface, you're supposed to angle it a bit.
Angle it a bit. Specifically, you want to have the face up and the supports in the back. The main reason, honestly, for that is you're going to get better details because of how the lights work, and the supports are on the back of the model. So even if you clean it up and you clean up some of it, even if it's got really bad pitting or scarring, it's on the back of the model, so it's not the part you look at.
Right.
So, and that's my thoughts on it. I'm going to be honest with you. They talk a lot about the modeling and the supports and whatnot. I watched 2 videos on supports, and I realized that auto supports, at least for the Mars, I can't speak for other companies, I can't speak for other printers, but the Chi2 box auto support maker gets you about 99% of the way there. And after you've done like 10 or 15 prints and you've seen a print fail, you kind of know where to look, and it's not something you can easily describe.
Right.
But you'll do a couple prints, and after you have one fail because it was missing supports, you'll go back and look at the model and go, oh, okay, and it just clicks. And after that, it's like, oh, it's kind of like you're playing Tinker Toys, and that's the easiest way to describe it.
Right.
You've got the orbs kind of floating in the air, and you're just trying to get Tinker Toys in place so that all your orbs are held up and that all of them get touched so they come up.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
And that's exactly what it is. And that's the thing. The problem is, I will be blunt, I think most people overthink it. And they overthink it because it's a 3D printer. It's a printer that works in the easier way to think of it. And I guess because I've done sculpting and I've done like building things, I understand the idea of slices. It's just making slices. So you just got to shape your slices to make your picture. So as long as you've got the slices held in the right way and I'll make them in the best order, you're going to get a good print.
Right.
They're cool. They're not the awe-inspiring, freakish technology they were 10, 15 years ago. Nowadays, they're kind of like, we've got this automated stuff kind of figured out. Put your model in here, tip it back, hit the auto support, stick it in the printer, boom. Hey, look, I got a model.
I would like to go back to a minute ago where you said, though, that the auto support is good for about 90% of your supports.
I have found about 95 to 99% of models auto supports will work for. Because I have found models that have really spindly bits, like long spindly bits. Those are a real pain in the ass to get supports for, because once you start putting supports on them, okay, now when you have to take supports off, you're gonna have hard problems getting them clipped off and not letting the long spindly piece look good. Or I didn't put enough pieces on the spindly bit and now it looks like melted wax.
All right, so something like this would be a pain.
Yeah, that spear.
Yeah, the spear is the one hard part because it's long and thin and very delicate. Like I was printing a model and the guy is carrying a long, thin spear, and I printed it like 4 times, and no matter how I put the supports on, the spear ended up just being either wavy or bent. And unlike the resin we're kind of used to, it doesn't really, you put it in the boiling water and straighten it out. That doesn't work with printed resin.
Yeah, this stuff's too brittle.
It's too brittle for that. So what I've ended up doing is if I've got something that's got a long spear, I'll print the model and not support the spear at all, but I'll support the spear head. So I get the head looking good, and I get the rest of the model looking good, and then I'll take a piece of plastic rod, or even a piece of brass rod, and replace the spear with that, and boom, fixed.
Well, then keep your guys' phones on, because I'm gonna probably dig into this thing tomorrow. So I'll probably be cussing at you guys. So I blame you.
Hey, you bought the thing.
Because you guys hyped it up.
Dude, it's awesome. I get up, but you're dumb. I'm an old man. If I figure this crap out, anyone can. I'm just a
Says the
caveman.
IT professional.
Right. And
Again, do not confuse a 3D printer for anything IT. It is the only reason it's IT is because it looks at your computer and connects up to it. It is not IT. It is its own animal.
Right on. Yeah, so I want to do that tomorrow when I get done
Cool.
running around. So
I'm gonna go fight Necrons tomorrow morning.
if you guys don't have anything going on in the afternoon, well, it would be evening your time. Keep
Dave
your phones
says,
on.
The worst part is convincing. There's all sorts of things to learn to figure out how to fit it as much as possible on a build plate via Pithu box for a single print run. He also says the worst part is convincing your grandma that your ultraviolet night nail polish drying machine is for. I keep telling her it's for curing miniatures, and she's like, uh-huh.
Right.
Sweetie, don't let them tell you you're not beautiful. Oh, I don't know. I mean, it was funny when I first got it. I printed lots and lots and lots of models. Like I printed a lot of figures, and that's cool. I mean, I have a huge Custodes army now that's completely 3D printed, and I'm totally happy with that. But at the same time, it's like now I'm looking at like stuff to print, and I'm doing this huge piece of a huge set of Necron Terrain. So I'm looking for like Necron bits and parts to print off them, like Necron heads and Necron obelisks and stuff like that to print to go in there. And I don't know, as you get comfortable using the printer, you start coming up with ideas like, I could print something that does that. And it really, if you ever want to use your 3D printer to just print cool stuff to build terrain out of, I'm going to give him a plug if you don't mind, Mythos.
Oh, go ahead.
Miscast Terrain. He's got a really great YouTube channel. And for $10, he has a huge library of basically sci-fi bits that are printable. They're very simple, but they're already pre-made and pre-sculpted and ready to go. And you can just pick and choose, and they're like vending machines and air conditioners and pipes and junction boxes and fans.
Yeah, see, that would be something I'm into.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. So Miscast Terrain, it's $10. You're helping another independent, YouTuber like us. And he does really great stuff to begin with. I mean, he's honestly one of the reasons I started doing my channel. He's so good. But for $10, you get a massive library of just sci-fi building bits. And you make a big square box and then throw a bunch of his bits on there, spray paint it, and look, I've got terrain that doesn't look bad. No effort.
Right, and see, that's the thing. I want to get into painting busts, but it's kind of hard to find busts.
Oh, no, it's not.
No. I'm just saying in general. Like, you just can't walk into GW and go, I want to buy a bust. Or, the hobby places that we have here,
I get what you mean. You mean buying busts, yes.
Yeah. So, I'd like to, because I got my first bust from a Kickstarter I did with Squidmar, and it's an orc, which is cool,
Hell yeah.
but I want to do a bust of Space Marines, different Space Marines.
That'll be cool.
One of the
And it would,
neat-
and it would be actually nice to do is get all busts of all the Primarchs.
I have seen Primarch busts out there before. It would just be a matter of finding them.
Right.
Yeah. There's a few sites. I would prefer to talk about a few of the sites I would point you at offline. But there's definitely a few places to go. I was actually looking at doing a Space Marine, just a generic Space Marine bust. And I was going to just, what's neat because of the printing capabilities, take a Space Marine torso, just like a regular, torso piece, and print it at 500%, and then print a head at 500%, and then maybe one arm like holding a chainsword or something,
Right.
and with the shoulder and the arm, and then paint that and do that as a bust, which is kind of cool because then you can kind of build like custom busts if you've
Right.
got models with pieces, because the 3D printer lets you grow and change them in size. Eric's Hobby, oh god, what is the name of his channel? I think it's Eric's Hobby Workshop. He just did a custom piece of terrain, and he started off with foam board and then printed a bunch of gargoyles and columns that he glued to the outside of his piece, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. But he actually goes into how he stretched and fit and measured using existing pieces to make them fit the shapes and sizes he wanted. So another great resource for that sort of thing.
Does sound awesome.
Well, see, and that's the thing. I want to get into, since we started playing Necromunda, I want to start doing some Hive stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that you can't find anymore. So hopefully I can get that stuff, figure out how to print it.
We will talk offline.
Dave says that if you leave a mini to cure in the UV light too long, it starts to turn brown. He lives in Spain, and the sun does most of the curing for him. Nate Smincher says, you are correct. It is Eric's Hobby Workshop. Very nice.
Thank you.
Welcome tonight, by the way, Nate. We're just having a chill chat and hang out while we all do some hobby. By the way, this 3D printing conversation is a great time for me to go ahead and mention Sons of Odin digital Kickstarter is out. Well, it will be out on the 22nd, I believe. Let me part of the week window, unlock, doing it live. Oh, that's not the right. Alt. All right, so you guys know this is one of my favorite companies, Pagan Miniatures, right? They do some of the best Viking and werewolf models on the market. They're doing a digital edition, so you guys can use your 3D printers to print it at home. And they've even got some extra cool pieces, like a giant, like a Viking hut, some really cool stuff to go in there. You can get all of this. You can go over to Kickstarter and check out the Sons of Odin digital edition for Pagan Miniatures, and you can even sign up, get notifications when they go live. So, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the 22nd that it goes live, but it is coming up very soon. And guys, this is absolutely, you guys know I'm a huge GW fanboy. This is absolutely one of my favorite miniature companies on the market. So check them out. Get some great prices on some amazing STLs for some badass Vikings, some badass werewolves, and much, much more. So please check them out, Pagan Miniatures. You can also check out the Pagan Miniatures Facebook page. They do a lot of live updates there. and you'll have plenty of information about the Kickstarter on their Facebook page. Check them out. Pagan Miniatures, run by the absolutely, positively brilliant, amazing legend, Adam Dodge.
I guess you like the guy.
That's Adam Dodge. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, it's really great as the technology's gotten easier and more accessible. There's a lot of like Patreons that have like monthly Patreons where you can get modular miniatures from them in all kinds of different genres. I really love it. I mean, it's so cool. I have been subscribed to Artisans Guild for almost a year now, and they just have Mythos's war boss lady is one of their figures that I actually scaled up a bit to make her a big girl. They've got a really great one. Papsikel does Shadowrun and Cyberpunk miniatures. I've been doing him for a couple months now, trying to get a good collection of STLs together for a Shadowrun game I'm going to be running in the next year or so. I mean, there's just so many out there. There's so many really great, and they, you know, you give them $10 a month and you get 20 STLs or 15 STLs. And a lot of them, they'll have polls every month where you can vote on what next month's subject going to be. So, I mean, it's really cool. Having the 3D printer has really opened up my ability to do certain things like role-playing games. And then there's guys like the Maker's Cult, where they do proxies and stand-ins that you can tell are inspired by Games Workshop, but aren't Games Workshop miniatures. Like, they have an entire Imperial Guard army that they call the Dogs of War. So they're Imperial Guard looking guys, but they're wearing helmets that make them look like they've got, Doberman shaped helmets on. So they're pretty cool.
Some one of Archer's favorite ones are he's got listed there: Maker's Cult, Atlan Miniatures, Aetherium Miniatures, and that evil, and that evil one.
Oh, that evil one! That evil one was part of the Maker's Cult. I don't know if he still is. The evil one is amazing. He just does some incredible work.
And another one of mine, and actually is the same sculptor as the sculptor for Pagan Miniatures, is the Lion Towers Miniatures. Dan from Lions Tower does Adventurers Guild. I know you were just talking about Artisans Guild. The Adventurers Guild is by Lion Tower Miniatures, Dan. And man, they've got a new orc coming out, either coming out soon or recently released, that I've seen some leaks for. And man, he looks like a badass. That's another cool Patreon. That again makes me wish I had a 3D printer, but I'm not quite there yet. For now, I will just have to beg others to print for me.
And the funny thing is, they're getting pretty. It is still a pricey thing to drop all at once. I mean, your standard beginner printers are going to be roughly around $250. There's some that are even cheaper than that. A lot of places that will have sales, but I mean, in our hobby, that's not a lot of money, unfortunately. But I mean, it is something that, you know, if you're not going to use it a lot, or you're not planning on making a lot of prints or whatever, I could see it be a hard justification. But like, if you plan on doing a lot of bits conversions or printing like figures for like a D&D game, like let's say you don't want to, let's say you're doing D game, like, oh, there's going to be 10 orcs in this fight. I only have 5 orcs in my box, kind of a thing. In an afternoon before a game, you can print like 5 of them up pretty quick. I mean, depending how detailed you go, you could have those 5 orcs in like 2 hours, depending how you print them.
That's pretty interesting.
The 3D printing, what is it called? The 3D printing workshop. It's another YouTube channel. He has his own set of Kickstarters of terrain and some models, but he's also gives a lot of tips on how to print models and really good for noobs. And he also got really good resources for getting figures and where to get cheap and good STLs, because I mean, everybody knows about Thingiverse, but the problem is there's a lot of really bad and really low detail, low polygon looking figures on some of those sites. So being able to sort through the noise at times.
Yeah, there's been some really cool stuff that I've seen on there, but also like, you know, some really interesting ones. Like one freak was, I kept going on for a while about how I wanted to get some squigs because I wanted them for my war boss, and you guys have seen me paint them up, and those were the good ones. The first one he printed was a file he found on Thingiverse that for some reason was locked in a way that didn't let him scale it up without throwing the proportions out of whack. It looked funky, but when he printed it out at the intended size of the file, the squig came out like epic sized. It was just like this big. It was just so tiny. But it was all good.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other really benefit of having a 3D printer. I mean, just you don't have a specific bit, or you get an old kit and you're like, oh, I don't need another flamer. I need to put a melta on this guy. I don't want to go buy another box just to get a single melta. Hey, here's a kit. Print, done. You know?
Yeah, it's true. And those kind of conversion bits and stuff like that is, you know, one of the things that I really would kind of love a whatchamacall, wow, I just blanked, a 3D printer for, because like you said, just adding on those kind of details and printing out your own would be really cool. One of the things that really impressed me about 3D printing is when you first got yours, you had just built a whole GW box of orcs, but then you had all the Shooter Boy options left that were just there without a body, and you were like, all right, boom, they've got a body now. I've made 2 sets of orcs out of this one box.
Yeah,
you still used legit GW parts, but added in the body to fill in what was necessary to be to complete the model.
And that's part of the other thing that's really great is that if you've got a lot of bits, but you know, because the models aren't complete, exactly that. I mean, you know, if you look at your Marines box kits, you know, how many sets of arms holding guns do you still have that you would be able to put a Marine on? But I don't have a pair of legs.
Plenty.
You know, and you know, printing up 10 pairs of legs so that I double the amount of Marines I got out of a box. Or I want to do my wolves, or I want to, even better, I want to do my white scars. I'm pretending I'm you for a minute there. I want to do white scars, but
So
I don't want to have them all just in regular helmets. I want to have more heads, but the box kit only comes with like 4 heads if I buy the upgrade sprue. Well, you know what? I can find heads that I can scale to fit Primaris Marines and print them out that look more like, you know, Attilan Raiders, or you know, they've got the Mongol fur hat with the ring and the spike on top. Yeah, put that on them. These are my bike dudes. They look great. So, I mean, it just, there's just little things you can do. Or I don't have enough. I want to do these guys, but I want them to have, I want to do my own Marines, but I want to have them have their own theme. And I need more power katanas. Well, you can find katanas and print them out and not have to go hunting through rare bit sites to try and find a box of 10 katanas for $30. I just.
That's awesome. Speaking of which, your buddy that does the Spartan helmets,
Yes,
sent me his Asian, the what was it, the Ryu set, the Hayabasa set from Halo.
Yeah.
I've got a baggie of them right here, and I can't wait to find some special White Scars miniatures.
There you go. And to be honest with you, he's a relatively new convert to 3D printing. He literally went from, I don't know about 3D printing to maybe I should print a couple. Actually, I think what did it was that he bought some figures from Hero Forge for a bunch of his friends that were coming into town, because they were going to play. He was getting a bunch of his old friends together, and they were going to play a D&D game, a one-shot, one-weekend D&D game. And so he had me print out these figures that he got from Hero Forge, and he's like, it's kind of cool. I don't know. And I'm like, well, and he had one of our other friends that has a 3D printer print him some helmets for his unique figures. And after that, he's like, all right, I got to get one of these. And then he bought a printer, and then like 2 weeks later, he's like, here we go.
And now I'm a designer.
Yeah, now he's a designer, and he's sculpting and selling in the whole 9 yards, and he's completely bought in.
That's awesome. He does good work. There's really good details in these helmets. Definitely really enjoy his work.
The reason there's so much detail in his helmets is when he first designs them, when he's building them, when he's building them in like Blender or whatnot, he's building them to be like the size of a grapefruit.
And then he scales it back.
And then he just scales it down to the proper size. Yeah.
That's awesome. Whew, guys, it is really nerve-wracking to do the black rubber Under Armour around all of your nicely blended whites. Just so y'all know.
I know that feeling. So why don't you do it first before you do your white then? Out of curiosity.
Honestly, because I like working from Gray Seer as my base.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my prime color and my base coat. And so since I prime that way, because that's my mid-tone, and then I highlight up to a white scar / ink mix, and then I shade down with Space Wolves Gray. So I've already started kind of at the bright point there. And I always... Honestly, it would make more sense for me to do the black ink next. But since I'm already at my midpoint, my mind immediately jumps to, okay, shade time next. And then highlight. So it's really just my fault, honestly.
I was going to say, so the simple answer is, 'cause I do.
Yes. Because I have tunnel vision.
So I'm starting a new way of painting, trying to move out of the tabletop standard. I'm trying to learn how to paint volumes.
Did you have that class yet? That was today, right? Earlier today?
That was today. Yep.
How did that go?
Amazingly cool. For just an hour, I learned a ton. And I had taken other classes from other people, and didn't come away. I had multiple classes with different people and didn't come away with what I came out of this one.
Oh wow.
Where
I
was
was
this?
really impressed. I take. Can I say it, Mythos?
Yeah. Plug away.
So, I take a painting class from Squidmar.
Oh, okay.
So I became a Patreon of his when I picked up his brushes and the bus that I got, and just kind of bumped up my Patreon to him, and was able to get 1 hour a month, one-on-one, and he actually gave me homework, which I was like, okay, this is cool, and pretty much gave me all the tools to learn how to paint volumes.
That's really cool because that it makes it very obvious he cares about more than just the 1 hour session, you know?
Right. And the thing about it is the way he did it is he goes, well, send me the pictures of the models you have now, puts them on the computer, and just goes over and starts painting over my models with the computer, going, okay, see this cylinder here, how we do this. And then, you know how when you're thinking, okay, I want to paint for a competition, it has to be precise, right?
Mm-hmm.
He goes, watch this, and actually did 3 different, your base, your mid, and then your highlight color. Puts it on there and goes, can you see that the way your eye reads the colors, they're blended in, but they're not. They're just slapped on top of each other.
Huh.
And he goes, that's where you want to start at, to where your eye reads it. It's like an optical illusion.
That's awesome.
And then he goes, this is the start. If you can get the start down and just do it, get the idea down, then you'll be able to start glazing and putting more blends in there to where but you have to be able to do it. And then actually showed me how to, I've had a wet palette for 3 years and didn't, the thing, everybody, they tell you how to prepare your wet palette.
Mm-hmm.
But has anybody ever told you how to prepare your brush?
What do you mean?
So with a wet palette, the way he does it, now this is probably not everybody, but this is how he does it, is he gets his brush wet, takes a majority of it off, and then works the paint into the belly. He just doesn't stick his paint in there and let it soak up. He works it into the belly of the brush.
Right.
And then he can check the consistency of the paint he's got, and he can add or take away depending on what he's doing.
That's
And I was like, hey, nobody ever told me that before. I've never seen a YouTube channel do that before. And I was like, this makes sense.
That's awesome. I have seen that in tutorials before, and obviously this is a failing on my personal level of skill. I tend not to use that technique very much because I sometimes over thin my paints, and when I load up the belly too much, sometimes it just bleeds out where I don't want it. And that's that's
right.
my level of brush control though. That's not the fact that it's not a good technique. That's just my
right.
My
well,
experience.
and there was also more to it, as in, I mean, it's like I've wicked off the brush on my hand, like everybody does,
Mm-hmm.
but able to check the consistency of the paint before it goes on the model. I think that's a lot of problems I have is I'll go put it in there, get it ready, wipe it off, put it on there, and it shoots out because it's not the right consistency I'm looking for. So it was a definitely an eye-opening experience. So it was worth my money, the way I look at it.
Roxy, what up? The Queen of Crump is in the house.
Can I ask, how much is that? I'm sorry, how much is that layer? How much is that level of Patreon a month?
It's 100.
Okay.
Redbeard, shoot me over the link. We'll take a look at it in case anybody wants to get in on a tiny ghost brushes. Seems like that technique would wreck brushes, though. Interesting. Dab your paintbrush in a bit of kitchen towel so it absorbs a lot of the water and leaves the paint. It's a good tip. Or paint that's too thin. Yeah, and like I said, I have a habit sometimes that I over-thin my paint. That's a good tip.
Yeah, I gotta say, I learned a technique for conditioning my brushes afterwards, so that I actually am not going through as many brushes as I used to. Because I mean, you guys know I would be like, all right, chuck, just throwing brushes, not caring, but buy another box of cheap brushes and chuck them. I actually found because I've realized that I don't watch TV, but I watch a ton of freaking YouTube. Midwinter Minis showed a technique for taking you can't do it to, I guess you could do it to synthetics, but you're not going to have as good a return on it. But on natural hair brushes, using beard clay to recondition your brushes. So basically you strip them using the stuff you would strip your minis with, like LA Awesome or Purple, whatever. And once they're fully rinsed and they've got that little bit of flaying on them, you take some of that beard clay pomade and you work it into the brush, work it into a wick and let it dry. And you're just using a tiny, tiny amount, but it conditions your brush and conditions your bristles and returns it back to a nice sharp point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, guys, I'm going to check this out real quick. And we'll come right back to the awesome brush talk. But while we're talking about brushes, it's a great time to take a look at the latest from Ghost Brush. And you guys know I've been using Ghost Brushes for about 1.5 years on the channel. So they're great synthetic brushes.
It's all Lady D uses anymore.
And so I got their first Kickstarter. I got their dry brushes. Now, for the finest of details, he's got a Ghost Tiny brush. Fine detail brushes for all of your fine detail needs. So if you need to get in there, you need to hit those eyes. You need to really do those fine details, like the fangs on a Space Wolf necklace, or the tiny feathers on the plumes of some white scars, or those unnecessary tiny details that they include on orcs sometimes, like the little designs in their leather cuffs. I love how Spud always ends up talking about those leather cuffs. It's like, is that his cuff so that way he can get back into the club when he's done crumping? Spud always gets really upset about the leather cuffs on orcs. But yeah, you can actually use these tiny brushes to get all of those hard to reach places, those tiny details. My favorite thing to use tiny brushes like this is I like to get in there and I like to put glow effects on the runes of my Space Wolves. So if you get yourself a nice set of tiny brushes like this, you can get in there, get all those cracks and crevices. There are 2 hours left to go, by the way, in this Kickstarter. So if anybody wants to hop in.
Wait, what is it? What's it? I'll jump on it right now.
Oh, it's let me.
I know he's a recovering, and I'm a recovering person, so I'll support him. What we got?
That's awesome. Let me drop the link into the chat.
Now I got to go to chat. Thanks, man.
That's what I'm here for.
It's just go to Kickstarter and look up Redbeard Boss.
Yeah. Also, it's right there in the YouTube chat in case anybody wants to check it out. Watching right now. So I've got it there in the YouTube chat. I've got it there in our group chat. You'll be able to check it out either way. Like I said, I really dig the ghost brushes. They're some of my favorite synthetic brushes out there. So if I'm doing the natural hairs, I always go broken toed, and when I'm going synthetic, I always turn to ghost brush. By the way, I'm not sponsored by any of these brush companies. They're just legitimately my favorite brush companies. Oh, by the way, actually, I want to go back to that for a second. Anybody who doesn't know, for all 3 of his Kickstarters so far, one of my favorite things about Redbeard Boss, by the way, he's got his own YouTube channel, check him out. And he actually has videos of him doing this from his previous Kickstarters, is every one of his Kickstarters so far has been a success, and after his Kickstarters are done, not only is he working hard to put the product out there, putting the products into people's hands, but he always takes a portion of his sales from his Kickstarters to donate art supplies to kids in hospitals and stuff like that. You know, because art is so important to him that he wants to spread that basically spreading art to the future of the next generation. So I think that's amazing and very admirable, and those are always some of my favorite videos on his channel.
He's a righteous dude. I mean, when we did the Ghost Dry Brush, those things are freaking fabulous.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then when we did the Ghost Dry Brush, Lady D picked up a set of his regular brushes as well. I mean, she fawns over them. She loves them. Like, I'm not allowed to go near them.
Does he still sell his, like, the dry brushes and regular brushes, like, separately now that those Kickstarters are over?
Yeah, you can get them on eBay. He's got an eBay, an eBay shop that you can buy them on.
Absolutely.
Okay. Out of curiosity, what's the price range on them?
They're the price of upper range synthetic brushes. I don't remember the exact numbers, but they're not cheapo brushes, but that's because they're not cheapo brushes. They're
not cheapo. They're not cheap, but it's not like you're gonna look at that and go like, "Oh my god, that's crazy."
Redbeard, my man, you want to toss me the link to your eBay store as well? I'll chuck that in as well.
Not to be elitist, but I look at artist opus brushes where it's like what 5 or 6 brushes and it's like $100 for a pack of brushes. Just like, yeah, that to me is a little much, but they're not that level of price. But they're also not like my they're not. Go ahead.
Redbeard says on his store they're about $3 a brush, so that's about half the price of Citadel brushes.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Please don't get mad at me, but my opinion, no one should buy Citadel brushes. They're just not worth it, and they're not good brushes.
Okay, so I in general don't use them anymore because so many of them have frayed like literally right after, about the first week of using them. However, one thing I do still have and has still survived, like after 4 years in the hobby. Of course, I would say that, and it would. Oh, here it is. Is the tiny small layer brush, the extra small layer brush. So, of course, I will be definitely upgrading at some point. I still have actually a unopened broken toad this size because I'm one of those like. Okay, when it comes to like my Warhammer armies, I'm definitely not the finish the old stuff before you open the new stuff kind of guy. However, when it comes to like utility stuff, your cereals, the different bottles of cleaners or toothpaste, I'm like, I'm trying to get the last bit out of my 4-year-old Citadel brush. That's still got a good point on it.
All right, Redbeard, you're back, buddy.
That's awesome. But yeah, that's my one Games Workshop brush that has like lasted Mythos and his brush looking.
And the fact that it survived Mythos is, yeah, I mean, if it survives, then that's great. I would never knock a brush that if it does survive. But the thing is, I'm gonna be honest with you. As you guys know, Lady D works at an art supply store. When I can buy a Winsor Newton sable brush of the same size,
Yeah,
for 2/3 of the price of a Citadel brush, and that's not counting her discount, you know something's wrong.
well,
Right?
and okay, so Rob from the Miniatures Paintbrush had a thing about these ones he gets on Amazon, these synthetic brushes that are like, I don't know, they're one hobby choice, and they're sometimes they come off the brush, but it's like for $10 you get 50 of them or something.
I hear Sam Lenz has this. I was watching an interview, and he's got the same approach. He'll buy a great big bag of 50 instead of buying the higher end brushes. And if he gets 1 or 2 uses out of it and it starts to splay even a little bit, he doesn't feel bad about chunking it and reaching in the bag for another one. So I definitely hear both schools of thought.
And that was the thing. That was what got me in my attitude about brushes, because when I started painting back in the 90s, it was like you could buy high-end artist brushes and you wanted to keep those things, and I never could. I could never keep the points on them. They'd get trashed. There was no YouTube to teach you this stuff, so you'd have to figure it out on your own. There were no real guides, and I was going through brushes left and right, and I'm like, this is just stupid. And then I walked into a Walmart and I found a pack of what in my mind was the exact same damn brushes that I've been paying $6 a piece for. Here's a bag of 15 brushes for $3.99, and it's the same brushes I use, but in multiple sizes. Oh no, I ruined a brush. I'm gonna go buy 15 more brushes for the price of buying 2 brushes. So I couldn't complain about it. But it is a little wasteful to a point. And that's when I learned about the whole thing that Midwinter Minis does with the beard with the beard clay. And once I learned that, it's like, wow, okay, I can buy cheap brushes, and if I care for them, they last. And
Well,
if
you-
one go, and if
you
one
could
goes
even-
to,
Yeah,
go
you
ahead.
could even go to the dollar store and buy like Purell conditioner and just use hair conditioner, because if you got a sable brush, it's just hair,
Yeah.
and it's going to do the same thing. I know that the big thing is, you got to keep the crap out of the ferrule, and you want to keep the natural, as much of the natural oils in that brush, so it doesn't start to split. So Midwinter Minis was even doing, hey, a little conditioner, blah blah blah, and just let it sit,
Yep.
But it's like I buy these golden packs off of Amazon, and I strictly use them for oil paints.
Yeah.
That's pretty
So
awesome.
when I want to do some grim darkness, I just, I don't have to worry about it. It's no big deal. I can wash it out in white spirits and throw it in the corner, and it dries and it's fine for the next one.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good
but
point.
I honestly can't see spending, $15 for a Games Workshop brush that within, a box of minis, it starts to come apart.
Yeah, which is frustrating. And then, of course, the worst are like when your friendly local, has them out on open display instead of like up at the register. I've seen.
Oh, and they're like this.
Yeah, because everybody who comes in the store grabs them and messes with them and then puts them back down with no intention to buy them. And you're like, what are you? No, don't do that. Why is everybody giving the brushes a noogie?
And, and that's the thing. I mean, the minis in this hobby are expensive enough. Getting the materials to make the minis, unless there is a reason to buy them of a specific brand, because there are some brand superiorities, but there are also some brands that you're buying because that's the brand they tell you to buy. I think the biggest example of that is freaking Citadel's glue.
Oh, geez.
I hate the bottle that they put it in, and it's just plastic glue. Why is it so expensive?
Lupus. Borus.
Well, and that's why I went to the Mastercraft stuff in the black bottle, and I heard that they're not making it anymore. So I just went to Tamaya.
Meeks.
Yeah, it's that stuff, right? They still make that because I heard they didn't make it anymore. Yeah, testers.
You just don't look for masterclass anymore. Just look for plain testers.
Oh, okay.
Testers, and this stuff is. I can get this at the hardware store for $4 a bottle.
I didn't know they sold it at the hardware store.
Yeah, we have a big box hardware store here in Wisconsin called Menards, and they have like a kids hobby craft section.
Menards.
Yeah, Menards. No, they have like a kids hobby crafting section, and they have like testers paints and things for kids to do, and they have these there right next to the spray paints.
I just don't see. It's like you're right. The glue, the Citadel glue. I've bought brand new ones, pulled it out, and the tube comes out, and you could never get it back in there, and
that's frustrating.
Yeah, and then but I'll be honest, I hate this dispenser. So when my Tamiya runs out, this bottle's about halfway done, so I knew I'm going to be needing a bottle soon-ish because I got a lot of builds to do. I just clip the top off this bottle, pour it in the Tamiya bottle, and hey, look, it's a brand new bottle of glue.
Okay, so I also use the Tamiya, and the extra thin, and then I use this stuff here.
Yeah, I got both.
And those are my go-tos.
Yeah.
Because I've had Citadel glue that literally took all day to set.
Dude, I love the Tamiya applicator. You're using that's cyan, that's right. Super glue.
I like super glue, but the Bob Smith Industries best super glue ever.
Yeah, that's what I use. I use that. Okay. Real fast. What's the difference between the gap filling and the other one? Because I don't know. I tried to use it as an actual gap filler, and that was like 3.5 hours of trying to scrape glue and sand.
I haven't found a difference yet myself.
There's extra chemicals in it. Now here's the thing. I'm gonna show you this because again, we talk about saving your dollars. The Bob Smith super glue, it's good super glue. It's just cyanrolite. It's just cyanrolite.
You get that at a dollar store.
Exactly. I get 99% of my glue at a dollar store because I can get 2 1-ounce bottles in a package for $1. This just happened to be on sale for clearance where Shannon works, Lady D works. So these were, I don't know if you can see it. It's $3 for these. I bought 3 of them, and they're 5-ounce bottles.
For me, I know super glue. Some people say super glue is super glue. I like the Bob Smith stuff because it to me has had the best hold so far. I can use it for all of my different textures and sizes of basing materials, and it holds it all down with no chipping away. Like I've used plenty of other brands of super glues that, the stones will come loose or the paint will chip on my basing.
And
so
see, here's the
hold for me.
here's the funny thing. The super glue I usually use are the two brands that invented it. Super glue, and we call it super glue. It's super glue. You know, that's an actual brand. That's the main brand I use is super glue. But then the other stuff I use is crazy glue. These are the two guys that developed it. There are some of the off brands I will admit, like Loctite, for whatever reason, I have no luck with Loctite. It always seems to come apart.
Or Gorilla Glue. Yeah.
Gorilla Glue is different. Their super glue, I've only used it a couple times. I don't like it because they're Gorilla. They use a thick. They don't make a thin super glue. They use a thick, and I don't like thick goopy super glue. I don't like that gel stuff. I don't like the way it runs out. I want my stuff to soak in. So I get the regular super glue, which is plain thin, and crazy glue, which is the exact same thing. But I know what you mean about the Bob stuff because I used it for years. For me, it's all about the price point. Honestly, it's like, you know, but there's nothing. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with the stuff because that stuff's not that expensive. The Bob Smith stuff's actually not that expensive. Gorilla Glue is more expensive.
Well, D, we also don't make that big YouTube bucks like Mythos does.
Well, you know.
Which, by the way, every dollar that goes to our Patreon will help us post bail for freaks. You know,
yes,
hashtag
this
free
is
the freak.
This is not just a hobby sit and chat. This is a telethon.
Well, I mean, now the flip side is, Mythos, if you're using super glue, are you using Kicker?
Yeah. I need to get some Kicker. I've never actually used Kicker. At first, I was completely against it because I had heard that it makes your bond more brittle. And I was like, well, I don't want anything weakening my bottles to make it come apart. But the more that I'm seeing it used on builds and stuff like that in tutorials, I'm like, okay, I need to get some.
Here's the thing. That is somewhat true with some kickers. I will be the first to admit it. But I can honestly say if you go get Zap foam safe kicker, you will not have that problem.
Okay, good.
So, Mythos, I've got the same Bob stuff, Bob Industries or whatever the hell it's called, and I actually have their kicker, and never had a problem with it being brittle.
Funny thing, that Bob Smith Industries, that's a rebottle.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Both their glue and their I'm looking at this here. Apparently, they're a rebottle. And guess who they're a rebottle of? This and Super Glue. Super Glue branded cyanurides.
Nice.
So, keep using it. It's good stuff. Both of them are good stuff.
I'm going to catch up with the chat real quick. Yeah, Elstonation Freak is... he's actually not in jail. I'm joking. But he's actually sick as a dog right now.
He's been eaten.
He is sick as a dog tonight, so we're all
don't ask, don't tell.
We're all hoping he gets well soon. We definitely feel bad for him. He was sick last week too. That's why he wasn't here last week. And so this is second week of being sick, and he has just been really honestly not getting any better. So definitely I'm feeling for him. And if I could take some of that burden from him, you know, he's carried it over a week now. I would honestly take my turn now if I could. I'm going to catch up on some of these things that came up before. Of course, Elston Nation did say good morning when he came in, which is awesome. Roxy is a cheapo brush bish. Then that's absolutely fine. You know, there's, like I said, I understand both sides of the argument there. I'll even hit you with an even cheaper one, a Weld-On 3. I've never heard of the Weld-On 3. Check that out. Elsa Nation, this is coming from a guy that paints an entire army in a weekend. His brushes never last that long, maybe like 6 months again, but then again, I paint like a silly amount. Yeah, so far, in just the first, we're in what, 2.5 months into the new year so far, he's already painted up 3 full-size armies. They're not like 500-point armies. Like full-size, he can play above 1,000 points. He's painted over $6,000 worth of models already this year.
Okay, he needs to prove that. I'm sending him over a couple boxes. And I want to see proof.
That's hilarious.
Put the minis in a box and nobody gets hurt.
Tommy twitches that I use Pro Weld for my models. Oh, okay. So,
I tried that stuff once. I will never use it again.
Kami's not on board.
It's like
with
you
Pro
take
Weld.
plastic glue and like it's like almost like running water. I tried building one model and then because you basically put it like in like a needle syringe. That's the word I'm trying to use.
Oh.
And you apply and like I was putting a model together, and as I applying it, I'm trying to use it like I'm like regular plastic glue, and it's like I'm looking like it fits, and then I look like it leaked down on the other side of the model and just dissolved half the side that I was trying to put together.
Oh no. I had that problem using Zap-A-Gap for the first time, and I didn't realize that I had bought the extra thin, and so I'm trying to use it like regular super glue, and as I'm putting the halves of the Marine together, it's just like spilling out. And like I didn't even think I put that much on there. I put it together, it's like spilling out the sides and sticking to my hands, and like
It's
all
not
of
a
my
dip.
fingers.
It's not a dip.
Wait, you don't use it to coat your models?
What? That's how I
Hey.
keep the paint on.
Dude, hey, if you put enough super glue on, you don't need primer.
You also don't need a clear coat.
Oh man.
And hey, if you want a nice white figure, just give it a heavy coat in super glue and give it a couple quick hits with Zap-A-Gap. My God, you got a solid white figure.
Nice and frosted.
This new white scars.
Redbeard says, I only use Gorilla Glue on my hair, but now I'm bald. I'm telling
Man,
you.
when I heard about that woman using Gorilla Gear glue on her hair, I was just like,
Why?
I had that reaction when I saw that she was trying to sue because it doesn't say specifically, hey, don't use this in your hair.
Please say she didn't win. Please say.
oh no, she was advised not to because she would just lose money.
Roxy really believes in Weld On 3 for plastic cement. You get it in huge jugs for like $20. I love huge jugs.
What man doesn't?
Big ones, small ones, some as big
Well,
as your
I'm
head.
equal opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. There they are, just standing in a row.
Deedly deedly deedly.
Well, okay. So as you're reading chat, I also want to, if we're going to do products, I have found, I've only found 2 of them, but Vallejo now has game washes
That's awesome.
in giant 200 mil, and it's literally just as good. And I'm a GW watch fan. These are just as good, and they're only $15 for 200 mil. You know, you can spend 2 bottles of Null Oil for $15-20.
That's
So
crazy.
if anybody wants to jump on that bandwagon with me,
I
so
And who was that again? Vallejo?
Vallejo now has Game Wash. It's called their dipping formula, and it's just like their null oil and stuff, regular wash.
Now, do they only have like a null oil wash, or do they have other colors?
Well, this one right here is like a Seraphon sepia, and then I have the null oil. I have not. I wanted to try both of these out because that's pretty much what I use for most of mine. So once I find more of them, then yeah, I'll probably jump on them. Because, and how hard is it to dump this over? It's not in a little stinking pot that each time you touch it, it's gonna fall over.
But if you do,
But if you do, you're screwed.
No, because you've dumped enough. Whatever you've dumped it on, it's now that color. So whatever, no one's gonna notice because it's all that color.
Yeah, but my girl's gonna be pissed when the hardwood floors turn out sepia.
Why? That's a nice color. Look, it's mahogany.
Yeah.
Mahogany.
honey, I just refinished the floors. That's all.
I'm staining it.
I'm gonna refinish. Look, let me go get a can of gloss spray, and we'll reseal them. They'll have a nice shine to them.
Right.
You know, and that's the thing. You know, you talk about washes. Don't get me wrong, I love GW washes. I think GW washes are just top notch. I have had my eyes opened to a bunch of different brands of washes that are just like, wow, these are amazing. Army Painter's whole wash line.
Oh, they're amazing.
I'm not crazy about Army Painter's paints.
I like
there's a couple I like, but for the most part, I don't like their paints very much. But their washes are absolutely fabulous.
Yep.
And I've got a bunch of Tamiya panel liners. Like they're bottles that look like this.
Oh, those are awesome.
But they're panel liners. Great stuff. If you're trying to do, especially like when you're painting Tau, like I'm working on. Sorry. And to get in those nice detailed lines, it's just beautiful without messing up your nice, you know, pale white colors. But you want really dark recesses in there. They're beautiful for working with that.
Sorry, everybody, that was the Gamecraft Dragon. You can find him over on the Gamecraft Dragon channel. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to mute you.
Thanks.
Foul player.
But I would also say, what do you call it? Green Stuff World. Green Stuff World makes a set of ink washes that I don't think I've ever seen anything. I've never seen a wash so pigment heavy that actually doesn't cling to surfaces. It fills gaps. Like you get definite dark lines, but the shading, unless you just put a couple layers on, it doesn't really shade too much. It just really gets into the gaps. It's really great stuff. I do all my power weapons. I'll do them I'll paint them in bright silver, and then I'll use Green Stuff World's bright blue. Their cosmic blue, I think they call their shade. And I'll do 2 coats of that on there, and it just makes them look great.
I also, and I won't be probably picking up any washes for a while, because I also bought the full set of the Army Painter, which is absolutely great stuff.
Yeah.
Especially if you start, like, it takes to almost every kind of thinner, like Vallejo's thinner, flow improver, or any kind of medium really, really well. So you can, like Army Painter itself, if you were to paint a primed model with just the wash itself, is clingier and will color your models more than, say, Citadel if you're trying to do a paint entirely with washes kind of trick. But if you thin them down,
use ink.
Yeah, but if you use anything to break it down, like the flow improver or medium, it'll absolutely do a wonderful job coating your model with minimal staining. So it can go both ways.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It looks like for at least for Army Painter, they use an ink-based ink-based pigment for their things, because it's just, if I noticed it that when like Lady D is using just straight inks on her brush on figures, she gets about the same effect from those washes. So
that's pretty awesome.
Commodore, what do you know about hobbying? You've been so quiet, you big bearded bastard.
Bastage? What is a bastage?
It's a word. It's a word that doesn't get the channel demonetized.
Smart man.
See, he's jealous of me and Estination's beardage, our man bearded, so he kind of feels like he has to take a back seat.
So here's the thing you don't understand. You don't understand about Commodore's beard here, okay? And I'm being honest here. that's not just a gigantic beard. You have to understand that Commodore is not a short little man. He is a tall redwood of a man. So the beard is like with size to it. It's got breadth and depth and width to go with it. I mean, when he walks in a room, that beard, it just kind of goes, I'm here. Notice me. So that beard is not it's not a beard to disparage. I will stand up and defend that beard.
Yes, but it was hilarious.
Oh my God. What was your question again?
Well, we've got all these people in this channel that are hanging on our every word, and we're talking about our favorite brands and the things we like to use and the techniques and the stuff, and you say nothing. And I'm going to be honest. I'm going to throw it out there because I'm going to say it. You're a hell of a painter.
Ooh, got him.
So
You are.
what the hell do you do to do what you do? What do you use?
And don't say permission because that would be rude.
Most of my paints that I use are Citadel paints. It's because it's just what I'm familiar with. I'm slowly trying to start phasing it out into other stuff to try and see what I like. I'm just more, I want consistency. So like you'll see on like online, they have the conversion charts of like, hey, this shade of yellow for GW you go to Army Painter and you get this. And like, most of the time it's close, but not close enough in my opinion of how I want it. I really like Army Painter's brushes. I think those are some of the best quality versus cost brushes out there.
Those aren't bad brushes.
Yeah, I mean, they're not cheapos and they're not ridiculously expensive. I mean, you're probably paying about, depending which ones you go, about $15 for three brushes. Yeah, four brushes. I mean, yeah, they're a little bit up there.
They're about $5 a brush. That's not unreasonable.
It's not unreasonable.
And they last.
Yeah, I have their insane detail brush where. If you can even see the brush on there.
Well, if you didn't have it behind your beard where it kind of blends, put it in front of your forehead. We'll definitely see it then.
As that's true friendship.
Can you people tell I love this man?
His wife is jealous.
Your woman's jealous.
That's weird. That could
Actually,
be weird.
One of the big things hobby-wise that I've been trying to test out more is different ways to kind of like store paint. So like, yeah, I use a lot of Citadel paints, and I will admit right now, their pots are POSs. I hate the pot design that GW has, and why they have not changed that is just another mystery of how they decided to run that company. I tried going over to Reaper's little bottles of like filling that up, putting a little metal agitator in there and doing that. And it's worked fine. I just recently bought some stuff from a Kickstarter, Dr. Tabletop, where he designed basically nipples that fit right on Citadel pots. And they have caps, and I love those. It's just, you basically cut the top off and it basically turns your Citadel pot into a dropper bottle. And it's been amazing. I love those. And if you're going to use Citadel paints or any pot designs similar to that, just grab one of those, throw it on there. It's going to make your paints so much easier to use, last longer. You can control how much you're, putting on your wet palette or your palette, and they're awesome in my opinion.
I hear that they are kind of pricey. Do you think they're worth the price point?
They are worth it. I think I got a 24 pack, and I think I spent with shipping and handling $30. So yeah, okay. I mean, they're reusable. They're pretty easy to pop off, but once you get them on, they're on there pretty snug.
But they are reusable, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that I like about them is that they make your paints last longer. The old Citadel pot style, where they pop open, you get that paint like gunk up on the sides, and it leaks out on the side of the pot and gets on your fingers and such. With that pot popper, I haven't had that problem. I've had no leaks. I've had no issues with getting paint on my hands from grabbing a pot of paint and opening it and closing it, opening and closing it, because
I hate that.
taking paint to my wet palette.
He likes it because it looks like a nipple.
Well, yeah, there's that too, but I wasn't going to say it. I'm trying to keep this PG.
No, I picked those up too.
That's the kind of channel we are, by the way. Very family friendly.
I picked up those too because I got tired of putting mine in dropper bottles.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I'm waiting to see is, are they going to dry out my paints? I guess it really doesn't matter because I think that's the reason why GW uses those paint pots.
Yeah, that's
one,
exactly.
you use way more paint than you have to by digging it out. 2, you're probably going to spill it, and 3, they dry out faster. So
I honestly think GW's whole paint system is designed to make you waste paint so that you have to buy more paint. The paint pots leak paint. They want you to take some paint and put it on their paper palette.
It dries it out.
It dries it out, which is a consumable. So you got to buy more paper pallets.
All right, I'm going to catch up on the chat real quick. Commodore Phoenix says, well, she doesn't have a problem with the Weld-On 3, so he posed for dominance. Great from you, lady. Roxy refills her...
I love my niece.
Roxy refills her Tamiya extra thin with it. Brother Archer says, Army Painter washes are greater than all. Their paints are mad, but the washes are great. I agree. I really can't stand the consistency of Army Painter paint, which I kind of regret because I've bought like 20 of them. Except
I like their matte black. I gotta say, I love their matte black. It's smooth. It's really, really low, tiny particle. So it's nice and smooth. And holy crap, is it matte.
You know, nobody ever believes me when I tell them what my favorite black is. And it's, honestly, and I'm not just saying this for a price point, like use-wise, it's 50-cent apple barrel jet black. It is the mattest, smoothest black I've ever used. Of course, it's super thick. I thin it down with a little bit of Windex. Okay, with a lot of Windex. But I freaking thin this stuff out. My favorite mattest black ever.
It's all right. My first big hobby buy when I got into the hobby was the big box of Army Painter, and I've used it twice.
Oh,
yeah.
I want to make sure I heard this right. Meeks, did he just say Windex?
Yes.
He licks his brushes too, right?
Yeah.
You're a cheap bastard. I'm telling you that you're a cheap bastard.
and as all proceeds will be going to the free funds.
Kind of makes you want to go to a Mythos party. Like, hey, Mythos, what's up? Yeah, it's good. Have some beer. Water it down first. We got to make this last.
We water it down. We're gonna water the booze down with Windex. Don't worry about the blue hue.
You're one of those guys that drinks Flavor-Aid instead of Kool-Aid, aren't you?
Oh my god. I love grape drink. You mean juice? Grape drink.
Drink.
You mean like grape juice? What the hell is juice? I drink grape drink.
We just take we're just passing around the lollipop to swirl it around.
Oh man. Redbeard says sulfide ochre is a great natural yellow paint from them, but that's about the only paint he uses from Army Painter besides their washes. Archer says their silver metallics are pretty decent. That's the only paint he likes. Lobo reference, and he said, Roxy says the beard is, that looks like a Chef's kiss.
Which one?
Yes.
Which one?
I think since you were knocking on commies, I'm assuming commies.
Yeah. You don't, like I said, Commodore. I mean, look at that beard. Look at that. He just does that, and you can hear the mandolins in the background as the gentle breeze blows across. Look at those arms to go with that beard. This man was born to live in a log cabin and eat pancakes.
I just realized. G the Hyper Sapien got my Chappelle reference. Elstonation says Zelda, Beard of the Wild. Very nice. G also says he likes the Armor Painter Psycho Brush, and it's in the something is in the fridge. We got Landon in the chat. Welcome, Landon. And D Richone, long time no see. Good to see you. Good to see you. Phoenix says just use apple barrel paints, cheap as heck, and you'll have that crap forever. You know, okay, so I don't actually paint minis with any other apple barrel. I do terrain with apple barrel, but I really just use the jet black on my mini.
This sounds like a challenge that we need to do. We need to do like a multi-channel challenge. You're only allowed to paint
with
a miniature, a marine with craft paint.
I like it. I'd do it.
Well, Mythos. Remember the
Wait,
box?
can it be? Hold on 1 second. Can it be craft paints and Windex?
If you want to do a blue wash, you go right on with your Windex self.
It's a good thing they sell LA Awesome and Windex at the dollar store.
Yes. I'm sorry, you were saying, Tommy?
Yeah, that box I sent you, that is all Apple Barn paint.
Nice. You know, I don't knock it. I love collecting the apple barrels. I use it for a lot of bases and terrain. Oh, yeah, I said I don't use it on minis. I use it on minis bases. Does that count?
No, dude. I mean, I use craft paints on all my bases, and I don't waste good paints on terrain. That's what craft paint was designed for. Shit.
I could just see Mythos. Honey, put on your Sunday best. We're going to Walmart. I need some more black paint.
Baby, I gotta get some more black paint. I need that sweet Windex.
You know, can we get some sweet tea on the way?
It just reminds me of my big fat Greek wedding. I put some Windex on it.
See, and I immediately think of the Lost Boys, where Grandpa uses Windex as aftershave.
Seven Serifs.
Hey, whatever works, man.
Seven Serif says, just a question for y'all. Do you use non-metallic metal painting or actual metallics for your minis? If it's a mix of both, when do you use which? Have a great stream, guys. Thank you, Seven Serifs. I don't think anyone here in this particular chat uses non-metallic metal. Well,
I am working towards it, but for just tabletop standard to get it on there, I'm throwing down the metallics.
I like metallics. I like the look of metallics. It's not that I don't like the look of non-metallic metallics. I have fooled with the idea. I'm looking at my Space Dwarves and looking at because they're going to have a lot of black metal on them, because they're the black company. That's what I'm calling them. They're going to have a lot of blacks and dark grays. So I was looking at doing some non-metallic metallic black on them. But I will tell you right now, to me, as a painter of 30 years, I'm still intimidated by the whole idea of non-metallic metallics. It's just...
All right, so what are your guys' go-to for metallics?
It depends on what effect I'm doing. A lot of times with the airbrush, or a lot of stuff that I want one thin, smooth coat, I love the Vallejo metal colors. They're designed for the airbrush. They're already thinned out. They're very easy to use. However, I really like the color of Lead Belcher. I can't stand the consistency, but I really like Lead Belcher.
A good swap out for Lead Belcher, if you want something a little bit more consistent, at least I've come across it. Army's Painter Gunmetal, basically the same. I think it's a little bit darker than regular Lead Belcher, but I mean...
Vallejo Oily Steel.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
Right on.
You know, I just ordered from Greece the War Colors metallics because I want to try those out.
That sounds
But my go-to paints are Pro Acryl,
very nice.
and I really like their metallics. I do if I'm airbrushing anything, it's the colors, the game color stuff that you use,
Okay.
Mythos. But I forgot I had this, and I really like the P3 Runic Gold.
P3 does good metallics too.
And it's almost it's for anybody who ever grew up in California or Texas probably know with the lowriders.
Yep.
You get that ghetto flake paint. It kind of reminds me of that. It's like, this is awesome.
Yeah, the P3 is good metallics. The only thing, and this is going to sound kind of silly, I feel like it's almost like got an expiration date, like a carton of milk. Once I open it up, no matter how good I'm shaking it, I feel like it gets a little thicker and a little clumpier the longer it's, not like it's open as in I'm like just leaving the pot open, but like
Okay.
once I open it up, like just air still gets in there somehow.
So I guess I got lucky with this one because I actually found this when I was cleaning up my hobby space underneath my roll around
Wheelchair.
toolbox. Yes, my wheelchair, my rascal. I had it plugged in. I actually opened this one up, and it was the metallic was all just a big glob,
Ooh.
just a big ball suspended in medium. And I went and took my stirred it up, shook it for about 3 minutes, and it went on just fine. So maybe I just got lucky with this bottle, but you know.
See, I'll be
That's
honest.
pretty awesome.
For me, it depends what I'm using it for. Like if I'm, and it depends on the color too. Like I use a wide range of metallics. I recently started doing some figures where I'm base coating them in metallics, and I've been using enamels actually for spray enamels. If I'm doing a base coat underneath, I don't have to prime it then, because the enamel will cling to resin and not need a primer underneath it. And secondly, it's tough, so that if I screw up screw up with some acrylic on top of it, I can just take some rubbing alcohol, rub it off, and go right back to the baseline of the paint.
That's what you use for your custodies, right?
Yeah, I literally used Testers gloss metallic gold. I did the entirety of my custodies in this color as a base coat, and then painted on top of it. And the Titan I'm working on, I'm using another Tester's color called Graphite Dust, which I mean look at that, look at the depth in that color.
Nice, good oily kind of steel color.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so I really dig that. But like if I'm doing like bright metals, I kind of prefer to go with so far Citadel. If I'm going with darker metals, I really like Citadel's Iron Warriors. It's just a really like a very rich, deep color. It does, just like you were talking about, have an expiration date. I found that true for a lot of metallics, though, that, I mean, after I've used them a little bit, I've found if I've had it open for like a month or so, I need to go in, I just put a couple drops of thinner right into the bottle and shake it up again, just to keep enough fluid in there.
And that's what I found out, and hopefully the people that love Pro Acryl, maybe they can give me some advice. But my Pro Acryl once you put it onto your, if you're using a plate or a little thing to put your, that stuff, it just dries out and gets thick. So it gets to be like mud.
Yeah.
And I don't like adding like flow improver to it because then it just starts to separate everything. So I'm thinking about trying like a metallic medium, like a Vallejo metallic medium or something like that.
That might work.
To help with that. But yeah, Pro Acryl's pretty darn thick. If you're doing like I did 15 assault intercessors, the gold on their breastplate, and by the time I got done, it was muddy.
Since I have an expert in the chat, I want to know if Elstination's ever used Pro Acryl before, especially since I'm pretty sure he's worked with creature caster models before, so maybe he's got some experience. And let us know if he's used the Pro Acryl paints before, and maybe he might have some advice there. Also, speaking of experts, Grumpy jumped in the chat at some point. Evening, Grumpy. Good to see you.
Howdy, Grumpy.
Grumpy.
And another great guy in the chat. Freak says, fine bunch of handsome fellas. Good night, my friends. Freak, good night, man. Rest well, and we all hope you.
Oh man, that's cool that they let you use the phone. Do you need a new phone card in jail? I'll just send it in, man. I'll put it on your.
You don't want to know what he had to trade for that,
right? How'd you get to the front of the line, man?
We got brother Wybird in the chat. Good evening, my brother, or good morning, where you are.
Hey, Wybird. I haven't seen you in a bit.
P3 Blighted Gold is Roxy's fave. It's really good stuff. G likes Vallejo Air Chrome. Chrome is really good when you want that shiny effect.
Their aluminum, Vallejo's Air Aluminum is
aluminum's awesome.
Really good too.
The one the other go-to is that I like is the Jet Exhaust.
Yeah, Jet Exhaust is good. I think all of my knights under skeleton were coated with the Jet Exhaust.
I gotta also say, because I'm using it as like a primary color for my Death Speakers, my custom Marine chapter that I'm building guys for right now. Vallejo's Old Gold. I love that worn gold color that you get out of it. It's kind of a it's not brassy and not bronzy, but it's a darker gold. It still maintains its gold without getting too brassy or bronzy. I really love the look of that color.
Yeah, it's like if you found a gold coin.
Yeah, exactly.
If you found a gold coin like in a cave or something like that, it's still gold, but it's still that richer but darker, but still the highlights come up bright too. I really like Vallejo's Old Gold. It's one of my favorite. It's honestly, those of you that have seen my Stormcast, that's the color I do all my gold highlighting with on them. I know my guys are mainly silver with a little bit of gold highlighting. I do all the gold highlighting with Vallejo Old Gold.
Elstonation and Wybird both really like Vallejo metal colors. Wybird also uses some GW stuff, and he says, for me, I use Vallejo Liquid Gold on characters and elite choices. Very nice.
Vallejo Liquid Gold's good. That's a nice color too. That's a very...
G says he's a sucker for Retributor armor. And
so then,
go ahead.
Sorry, Mythos. Can you finish your thought and then I'll ask my question.
I was going to get these last two. Elstonation says non-metallic metal problem is only a few people try it, so everyone leads towards true metallic metal. Like all things, you won't be good at it when you start, but when you practice, anyone can figure out non-metallic metal. So very encouraging from the master of paints. And then, of course, Landon asked, are we doing a hobby hangout tonight? After the show tonight, we will definitely be continuing the after party. So if anybody wants to hobby with us, these fine gentlemen and I, and Brother Archer, I know, we're all going to jump on a hobby hangout And of course, I'll post it up on the Facebooks and stuff like that. Anybody who wants to join, hit me up, slide in my DMs, and we'll get some hobby on. All right, go ahead, man. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. It's your show, man. So I know we were talking earlier about hobby products we like or we enjoy. I just want to put it out there to the hive mind. Is there any stuff out there that we've tried that either one, we couldn't get it to work, or two, you don't see what the hype is with it, or it, in your opinion, it is a POS? Like Army Painter spray paint, I've tried using that in the past, and I just can never get a good consistency with it. I don't know.
Like, dude, that's like oil and water.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. I love it. My salamanders, I think, are some of the best things I've ever painted. They're all based with my salamanders. Green skin green, but
Yeah, I've tried that. I've tried the Army Painter stuff, and it was just, for a spray can, it's just, you spray it on it and it wants to jump off the model.
Weird.
Now, did your model get fuzzy at all? Did you get like the fuzz effect?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but something, I'll tell you what, because I didn't use spray cans a lot, because I jumped right into an airbrush, because I'm an idiot. But the best primer can primer that I'd ever used was P3. The P3 spray black was just amazing. Oh, good. Someone muted.
I didn't do it this time.
I did it because I had a child talking to me. This is like the only primer I use.
Wait, you didn't specify if that was your child or not.
Just a child.
Don't be mean to Lady D like that.
Okay, look. What I do in my own home is my damn business. Live stream is only here for a reason, all right? No, seriously, when it comes to primer, this is the only primer I use. I use all four colors, because they have 4 colors of primer. I use all 4. I don't use anything else. I don't use a damn thing else. This stuff is so awesome. I can't even. But I was saying, I know it caused that fuzziness. Actually, the fuzziness is not the fault of the brand. And I only know this because I worked for a couple weeks at the place that makes this stuff. And they had a huge display on the effects of spray paint and what causes certain things. I learned more about spray paint working in this place than you would think doing IT work there. The reason it got fuzzy is because it sat on the shelf for too long and is completely separated inside the can.
Oh, that makes sense.
You don't, just shaking it for a couple minutes will not do it. If that can has sat for longer than 6 months without being used, you've got to shake it for a full 10 to 15 minutes to get everything fully mixed back up, because it will separate back out.
They also recommend soaking it in warm water too.
Yep, that's one of my tricks I use too.
Yep, especially we live in Wisconsin. Yeah.
Okay, so
my base coat for my salamanders, and then G just said he's bought a few of the Vallejo sprays to try. And actually, that's interesting that you brought that up, because I saw a conversion chart that said that what is this? This is, I think it's Scarlet Red is supposed to be the equivalent of Corn Red, because unfortunately I haven't seen a Corn Red spray. And so this is supposed to be the equivalent of Corn Red. Corn Red is the base color to my sister's, so I'm going to try and see if this will work as a shortcut to prime my sister.
Just remember to shake the hell out of it.
How are you going to put Windex in that spray can though?
I'm going to have to be inventive.
He's gonna spray and spray.
No,
spray and spray.
No, all you need to do is just attach a freaking airbrush right to the front of the thing and just put Windex in the cup.
So another thing that everybody, it's like, okay, like your gap fillers. I have tried everything from Vallejo gap filler, which is junk.
Mm-hmm.
The thicker stuff from Vallejo that comes in a tube, junk. I've even tried to make my own, but I'll tell you what, the best gap filler that I've ever used is this. It comes from Mr. Hobby. It's called Mr. Surface 1000. And yes, I could make it, but this stuff just comes out and it just pours right into your gaps.
Nice.
So like when you're doing, if you want to do like, when you put your armor together and like the belt has that gap in it, I'll just take a little bit of that, pour it just off of a synthetic brush, lay it in there, and it's just perfect.
And speaking of what's terrible, in the same respect, Citadel's liquid green stuff.
Oh!
God, what a waste of money. That stuff is awful. Oh my God.
So my first was my birthday 4 years ago when my girlfriend bought me the 8th edition starter set, and I bought all the paints for Space Wolves, and the guy goes, "Oh, you're gonna need some liquid green stuff." I opened it up and it was hardened.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. If you ever want to make liquid, quote unquote, liquid green stuff that's really usable, get yourself some freaking Milliput.
Yeah.
That's all you need. Just get Milliput. I like Milliput for that better than green stuff. There's good uses for green stuff. I definitely like green stuff better for trying to sculpt and doing detail. But if you're just trying to do something to smooth something out or make it look nice, Milliput is the absolute best. But yeah, I mean, as far as stuff that's good or stuff that's not good, if you're doing terrain, don't go cheap on glue. Like, don't go, I'll just get some good old Elmer's or some cheap white school glue to glue this foam pieces together. It will never dry. It will never dry because it's two pieces of plastic, no air in there. Go get some adhesive cement, the stuff they use to, like, industrial, the stuff that comes in a caulking tube. Just get a little bit of that. Works beautiful.
What about the different hodgepodges? Because I'd never seen it before, and I came up to Oregon and it was like, hodgepodge. Everybody's using hodgepodge.
Hodgepodge is lovely if you're building terrain. It's beautiful stuff.
Okay.
But it's if you're building stuff out of foam or building stuff out of paper, you don't need it on models, like plastic models. You don't need it. But
right.
You give it on a coat of foam, and now you can spray paint the crap out of the foam and it doesn't penetrate. You can take it to paper. Like I take Mod Podge and I'll take like baby wipes and dry out the baby wipes, rinse them, dry them out. And then I'll work Mod Podge into them. And when it dries, I've now got tarp to scale. Okay. And it's nice and hard, and you can, you don't have to worry about it. I do it with cardboard and paper, and it makes it's got what it is. All Mod Podge is it's a heavy duty PVA glue with a air drying lacquer in it. So once it dries, it's lacquered and PVA'd in. So
all right.
Good evening, or good morning rather, to the sexiest orc ever to be seen in a Hawaiian shirt, Big Mac Dad Skull. Good morning, my
Welcome.
brother. Else Nation says GW texture is a waste of time. You can pretty much find a better equivalent for cheaper anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Or you can make your own. I mean, honestly, on the GameCraftDragon.com or YouTube GameCraftDragon, I've got an entire tutorial on making your own texture paste, where you can make like a tub of it, like a cottage cheese sized tub of it, for about $3. So, I mean, the only stuff that that you really need to get another company's stuff like Vallejo or GW or whatever is when you're making crackle paste, because that's hard to do using regular materials. But if you're just trying to do like a texture paste, like a mud or a dirt, I mean, all that stuff is spackle and glue. I mean, it's just sand, a little bit of glue, and a little bit of gypsum in there. So
for crackle, I get this distressed crackle paint by Ranger, and I can do any color I want.
How deep is it? How deep is the crack though? Because that's the problem I've had with using crackle paint.
The only thing that I've ever used this for was for ice bases. So far.
That's what I like about my Martian Iron Earth is nice big cracks.
I was going to tell you, that's the big thing, because that's what I do all my ice bases in. I mean, I know I've gone over it before, but I literally put a layer of my Martian iron crust on it, get the big cracks, then spray paint the whole thing white, and then start doing my blues and whites over that. So, but yeah, I mean, bad stuff where you don't get the hype. Honestly, and this is going to start an argument with some people, but I'm going to quantify it here. Zenithal highlighting. And not that I don't see the point of it, but 90% of people that paint or are starting painting aren't going to see the benefit of Zenithal highlighting because they're not working in translucent enough layers to actually get the whole point of the Zenithal highlighting. If you're Zenithal highlighting and you're not seeing any difference, you're not working in translucent enough paint. It's good to know, well, I need to know where I need to focus on, but you're covering it up. You really need to be, honestly, the best work you're going to get out of Zenithaling is if you're doing mostly glaze work. It's one of the reasons why I've honestly stopped Zenithal highlighting a lot of my figures, because when I came to the realization that I'm not working in glaze work, I'm letting the paints and then doing the manual highlighting. I'm not working with the Zenithal as well. I just realized I'm doing extra work that I don't need to do.
I disagree to a point, because I was in my first year painting, so I was still pretty brand new. And I had learned about Zenithal highlighting from Uncle Adam, and he even specifically had a beginner's guide to Zenithal highlighting, which he did with a couple of rattle cans, which at the time I really appreciated. And he also covered how to make those extra details pop with the dry brush in a second video, and I watched both of those.
Yeah,
and
those are great videos.
Yeah, those are great videos. Definitely love Uncle Adam with Tabletop Minions. In case anyone out there tries to search Uncle Adam, it's Tabletop Minions. And I that was, like I said, my first year in painting, and it was my first commission ever. And I'm sorry, my first official. I did have once somebody say, "Hey, I'm going to hand you a few bucks to paint this up once." But it was kind of an on-the-spot thing. I wasn't taking commissions at the time. But as my first actual commission, I like I said, I'm still brand new to painting at this point, but I wanted to push myself to do a better job. And having watched Uncle Adam's videos, 2 very beginner-friendly videos, I was able to take that idea and replicate it on some Night Lords. And because Uncle Adam covers it really well, I was able to learn to thin down my Cantor blues, so that way I could see the highlights. And other people were coming into the shop and asking me, "Well, what blue did you use?" And I'm like, "Just Cantor blue." at the time I was still very simple at painting, so I just used the one blue. And unlike now, where I'm like, how'd you do that blue? There's a blend of about 3 or 4 blues. But at the time, like I said, I'm still a newbie in my painting journey, and they're like, well, why doesn't my Cantor blue come out the same way? You've got nice transitions. And I was able to tell them, well, I thinned down some paints, and at the time I had seen one of Luke's videos on kind of creating more translucent paints using just water and fairy liquid or dish soap to create, to break that tension in your paint and create kind of a glaze.
Yep.
And so I'd used those 2 videos, and I was able to really get a transition fade as a brand new painter.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. You're saying exactly what I'm saying. You're breaking your paints down and getting them thin enough to see it. What I'm seeing, like 90% of the newer painters I see, they're not thinning their paints down that translucent. Gotcha. That's the point I'm making. I'm like, you're absolutely right. If you can thin your paints down as a newbie that thin down that you can see the zenithal benefit, absolutely. And that's exactly what I'm saying, is that I don't see the hype for it, not because I don't see it as a good thing. I think it's a great thing if you can do it, and if you do it. But the thing is, I see most people that are really crazy about doing zenithal highlighting, and then they don't thin their paints down enough. So it's like, well, why did you spend all this extra time getting this perfect zenithal, and then you're not thinning your paints down enough to see the transition? What was the point of that?
Well, you heard it here first. Big D hates Uncle Adam.
No, I love Uncle Adam. No, you missed the other point of that, because I love Uncle Adam. You don't understand. I have a standing promise from a friend of ours who's known him personally for years, to the next time we go to Adepticon to introduce us, because Tech Noir Studios. I know you've shown off some of his miniatures before, and we've talked about him before. He's actually been personal friends with Adam for years and years and years. So,
and I'm hoping to get to either. There's a couple things I'm hoping to get to.
Adepticon, right?
Next year, and I'm hoping Adepticon's one of them. Right now, I'm actually, if no other major things come up, with the as far as channel expenses goes, I'm hoping that freaking I can get to some of these places like Adepticon or some of these other things that we have kind of planned, and then
will Freak's ankle bracelet allow him to cross state lines?
Well, it depends. I think we have an appeal in January, so that should be for Adepticon. We'll have to see. I find that
we could always put it on one of the dogs.
I find that Zenithal helps keep your eyes trained on how light from above works.
Yeah.
Nice. And yeah, I think that is another good thing. That's why I also like the dry brushing over your Zenithal methods, because it really helps you pop those details out and see what needs to be painted and how.
And again, I absolutely agree. I don't want to misspeak here. I like Zenithal highlighting. My whole point was that I just see most people,
right,
most painters
aren't doing it correctly.
Yeah, they aren't doing the next step correctly, so there's no point to it. And especially after honestly seeing my wife paint an orc lady without using any paint. All she did was zenithal it and then glazed it in layers and layers and layers of inks.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so that she used that zenithal to dictate where she and what she did. And it's funny. She spent I would say honestly 4 to 5 times the amount of time she spent on that figure doing the zenithal, and then she did a zenithal highlight and then did a black wash on it and then highlighted it back up again just using the whites and grays. She did that took her a week or two to do, and then she did the coloring in like 2 days. She let the color, she let the zenithal dictate everything, and then just put the colors over the zenithal, and it works great. I just see so many people that, you know, that, well, I got to zenithal these figures, but then they don't do anything to utilize that tool. And like for my Marines, for when I'm doing these Grimdark Marines, like my Death Speakers, because I'm doing them really gritty dark, meaning really, really gritty dark, I'm not bothering to zenithaling them. I'm doing the brush over the top when they're done with the, it doesn't count, they're all just in grays too, that's the thing there. Primer gray is their main color, so and just doing, you know, layers of black wash, highlight it in a light gray, and then paint the details, and it's done. So
I tend to do a more basic zenithal,
Really,
but for one with that comprehensive, if anyone's curious about that detailed of a zenithal highlight, Dana Howell has a great comprehensive tutorial on that.
She is just really just as a painter, she is phenomenal. And it's not that she's just phenomenal, because she didn't get into the miniatures ever. She was a graphic designer before she got into minis at all. And so when she started painting minis, she was looking at them from the aspect of graphic design and color design. So it was like the figures were just the medium she happened to be working on. So she does some crazy stuff with figures.
That's awesome.
I mean, her Indomitus Carcadons are honestly, and I mean this, and everybody knows the people I love in this channel and the people I know out there that I love, her Carcadon, her Indomitus box that she did a conversion to make them in the Carcadons, those are probably the best, personally, to me, figures I've ever seen.
Wow. Because
she painted them in realistic tones and then got grim with them, and just, she didn't hold back on anything. If you haven't seen the video where she paints her Indomitus box and goes all grimdark, she takes the Indomitus Marines and then uses, like, honestly, it has to be like 3 boxes worth of bits, leftover bits from the bone golem dudes out of Age of Sigmar.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, to put bones and claws and teeth and fangs and just stuff all over them. I mean, you look at these figures, you're like, what the, they're just stunning. The level of work she did with them, the level of kit bashing she did, it blew me away. It was literally what inspired me to do these guys.
That's awesome.
Which is why I'm doing all this freehanding on them, and I'm not using decals or anything to do all their symbolry. I'm just freehanding it just to make it look as brutal and harsh as I want them to be.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Talking about Uncle Adam a minute ago, Elston Nation says, Uncle Adam was a pleasure to talk to you on the Chilling Wargamers channel. That was cool. Right, that was a really good episode to watch. And of course, I love Chilling Wargamers. I love Uncle Adam, so that was just a bomb of an episode. Bomb.com type stuff. And one of the things, first of all, I really enjoyed that particular episode. Also, I love everything that the Chilling Network, including Elston Nation, including Brother Spud and the Pickle Jar, the 3 members of the Chilling Wargamers. I love all of their work, and you can check out our Chilling Network fam down in the description below. It does need to be updated, touched up a little bit, but you can check out our brothers down in the Chilling Network below. And of course, you can go check out the Chilling Wargamers' latest episode of their weekly Thursday chat, which included one of my new favorite Twitch streamers, that I've been watching for about 3 weeks now. Let's Make It Orky, and I'm gonna jump over and take a look at that. And guys, I know I don't talk about Twitch very often. I have mentioned that some of my favorite Twitch artists are Wolf Wraith, which we've had on the channel before. Big Mech Dan Skull, who's on Twitch now. He's over on, I mean, he's still a YouTuber, but he's also over on Twitch now. You can find him over on Twitch. And of course, like I said, a new favorite has been Let's Make It Orky. Really, really awesome. So check out her on the latest episode of Chilling Wargamers. Also check her out over on the Twitch. She's awesome. She's got a great painting style. She does really great work, but she's also just a hilarious and chill personality to hang out with if you're in for a hobby stream. So check her out. Hop back over to us. All right, guys, we've had some really awesome conversations this evening. Essex boys, my brother Clint. Again, I've said it over and over again, and I'm going to say it again. The master, the best maker of... Sorry, D. I don't mean any betrayals here, but the best maker of orc terrain that I have seen to date.
I haven't made any good ones yet. I'm not offended.
I know, I felt bad, like I was halfway through the shout, and I was like, I have a terrain maker right here. But honestly, the best orc terrain maker that I've ever seen, we've got the Essex boys. Check out all of his Orc Town builds, and of course, his Orc Blood Bowl stadiums. It's amazing. Big Mech Dansko says,
oh yeah, his freaking Orc Bowl stadium is freaking amazing.
Phenomenal.
I just realized who we're talking about. Yeah, the Essex. Oh God, man, that as a maker, as a builder of terrain, that Orc Bowl stadium is, I mean, chef's kiss. My God, it's such a beautiful piece. The fact that it is fully functional, fully usable, and still that beautiful, dude, all the props in the world to you guys. It's just, jeez, such a great piece.
For real, I feel like Clint deserves free tickets to like a wargaming convention or a Warhammer World or something like that as a featured piece of terrain for tournaments to take part on. Just maybe the final championship table or whatever. I feel like, you know, they need to fly Clint out and just have his amazing Blood Bowl stadium on display. Orky is funny as heck. Big Mech says, I'm kind of a big deal. You right, Big Mech Dan Skull. The sexiest orc in a Hawaiian shirt is a big deal. So, yeah, absolutely. Check all of them out. You are welcome, Elston Nation, my man. But no thanks are actually needed because that's what we do in the network, baby. Chilling Wargamers also featured Matt Berry. So if anyone has watched the IT Crowd, you can find one of the stars of IT Crowd over on the Chilling Wargamers. Man, you know, tonight's stream has flown by. I feel like once we started talking about hobby products, things we like and things we don't like, the rest of the show just really flew by. I feel like we just started the show about half an hour ago.
So you're saying we're boring at the beginning?
What?
It's messed up, dude.
The Windex hadn't kicked in yet.
The Windex.
Am I married to Meeks?
I think he just sits over the Windex.
Are you saying Meeks is just a great big woman? Because
with a beautiful beard.
So you're a dwarven woman. That's fine.
That's fine. It's cool.
The beard's what does it for me, honestly.
Hey, it's a sign of the times, baby. Equal opportunity. Don't judge me.
Oh, man.
I'm letting my woke show.
Roxy says
I
Orky
was
is...
waiting for you. I was waiting for you to lose it.
Roxy says Orky is bae. I can see where one would arrive at that opinion, and I'm not going to argue against it. Also, I mean, Meeks, you right. That beard is the best part. It can be the best flavor. You know what I mean?
The taint tickler.
Oh man, this is for the after show.
Oh, well, we were not there yet? Oh, okay.
This is the teaser for the after show to get you to come to it.
Oh man, guys, I've had some amazing guests on tonight, and I've had some great people in the chat. When we wrap it up here in just a minute, it's 2021. Everyone can have a little homo as a treat. Roxy, that's the show. Like, the show is literally littered with those.
Have you not heard me fawning over Commodore all evening? I mean, just look at that man. I just want to French braid his beard.
I'm grateful that he lives on one side of town and I live on the other.
I just think it's great that I can actually get away with stuff because the moderator is actually hobbying and not paying attention.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Archer should still be in here, I think.
I'm gonna start having to give Phoenix mod rights. That way she can keep us in line. Oh man. Guys, big thank you to my 3 amazing guests tonight. Again, if you guys don't know who they are, first we've got in the lower corner there, we've got Big D from the Gamecraft Dragon. Please check out the channel Gamecraft Dragon. Another phenomenal terrain maker, but also another painter of armies. Last year cranking out over 500 or so,
550 miniatures last year.
550 miniatures. And this year he's doing a big focus on his classics, his squats, his terrain. So big shift in gears this year. Check him out. Also over on his channel, you'll be able to find the Commodore. The Commodore is, of course, he's recently been accepted our role as Smash Captain here, but he's also originally the Smash Captain for the Gamecraft Dragon. And of course, right below me, if you know what I mean, we've got the badass Wolf Lord Meeks. Wybird wants mod rights right now.
I want mod rights. What are you talking about?
No, you don't ever. You don't get mod rights. You're lucky you haven't been zaned yet.
I was about to say he is ahead of mod rights before Zane. I mean, there's that. Oh man.
Zane's got mod rights in my Discord. He's all right.
Oh man. Speaking of,
just give him pictures of feet every once in a while. He'll do fine.
Kami Roxy says, "Smash Captain indeed."
Look at that! Look at him blush. He's such a beauty.
Smash, just like the old, commercials.
I'm gonna have to go to Phoenix tonight and like, honey, you need to step up your game. I got options.
And you.
And then that's when
I can't even. I just tried and I couldn't even, man. I was like, dude, seriously, have you seen you? I mean, yes, you're an attractive man, but let's be honest here. You're like the kawaii little girl in the anime. Aren't I just the cutest?
Man,
I'm waiting for the cup to fly across the room.
If Phoenix is still listening to the chat, D man, I hope you got a couch open tonight.
Oh no, I'm not worried about it. She'll let him sleep. Close both eyes.
Right now, why do you think I've been talking like this? Okay, I'm terrible.
Oh, yeah. She's already asleep. She won't watch the replay tomorrow. Dead man.
In addition to thanking my amazing guests who always keep it live, I want to thank everybody in the chat. The chat has been popping tonight, and you guys have really made for a great way to kick off the weekend. It's always my favorite part. We're going to continue the fun off of the live stream, so you guys will see in the Chilling Wargamers Discord on Facebook. I'll put out the link to some more hobby hangout. It'll be unfiltered since we're not on. We won't be live anymore. So guys, feel free to come hang out with us and just get in the mood to hobby, guys. So Guys, tonight, again, we all hope Freak feels better soon or gets out of jail, whichever. Guys, you'll look on the bottom left of our screen. You'll see the link to our Patreon. And guys, just know that you just contribute $1 a month. That really helps us make bail for Freak to get him back.
That's right.
Hashtag free the Freak.
And if you haven't hit like, don't you get out of this stream without hitting like.
Then make sure that you grab up an axe and smash that like button in the name of the Emperor. Drop us some comments down below. And, especially if you're watching from the archives, you'll be part of any of these ridiculous conversations. Actually, we've had fewer ridiculous conversations and actually more on-topic hobby discussion tonight. So feel free to be part of any of the discussions.
Hey, I even went and smashed the like button,
All right.
even though I didn't like it.
How would you like it? You're involved.
I mean, you could smash the other one too. It's all YouTube interactions, baby.
It's just show that you watched it, please.
And if you guys are not yet subscribed to my brother over at the Gamecraft Dragon, or if you're not subscribed to any of my chilling network brothers down below, then and of course if you're not here, then I know these guys, I hope,
I refuse.
and this guy would love to have you as part of the pack here on the Frost and Fist. Until next time, guys. Stay frosty.
Frosty.
So where's the stripper going?